Chapter 1934. Hunting in the mountains. As expected, upon learning that they would need to purchase the seeds with their own funds, many individuals hesitated once again. Indeed, the cost was not exorbitant. Their families could afford it. Yet, what if the endeavor didn't yield profits? Numerous medicinal herbs required 2 or even 3 years to mature. If the venture proved unprofitable, wouldn't it be a waste? Though the expense wasn't significant, it was still money. Ultimately, only a handful of people were genuinely willing to commit to planting 2 or 3 mu of medicinal herbs and register with Xianxia. On average, there were merely 2 or 3 families per village willing to participate. The largest village boasted 5 families, while some had none at all. As Xianxia prepared to relay the outcome to Xianxia, she greeted him with a smile and a nod. Just as I anticipated, the number of participants is sufficient. Keep track of the list, and remember to provide me with updates. Relieved that he wasn't reprimanded, Xianxia readily agreed. Come early December, with favorable weather prevailing, Xiaoxian's long-awaited desire was finally realized. Xiao Yunduan seized the opportunity to venture into the mountains for a hunt, accompanied by Yi, Zheng Sang, Wu Guan, Mian Mian, Li Xia, while Sun Bai, Sun Qian, and Hang Xingshan remained behind to safeguard the state office. Anan was still too young to accompany them into the mountains. Before dawn, the group of nearly 20 individuals mounted their horses and set out. Their destination this time was Mili Town, situated over 60 miles away from An's prefecture city. The surrounding mountains boasted expansive stretches, with verdant valleys and lush forests teeming with wild lifiero, their prime hunting grounds. Given the expedition, they naturally opted for the finest location available. Furthermore, Xiao Yunduan hadn't had the chance to visit An's province since his arrival, making it an opportune moment for him to observe the local populace. Disguised as ordinary merchants and affluent families, the journey proved arduous, taking over an hour and a half to traverse the rugged terrain to reach Mili Town. The Taoli Ridge region they intended to explore was still another hour away from Mili Town. After indulging in breakfast at Mili Town, they pressed onward. Before venturing into Taoli Ridge, they left the carriage and horses at the land officer's residence in the nearest village, opting to spend the night there. Half a day had elapsed by this point, rendering it impractical to delve into the mountains. With winter prevailing, spending the night in the deep forests and rugged terrain was out of the question. Safety concerns aside, the biting cold could prove fatal. They could only spend the night and embark on their mountain expedition early the next morning. After settling in, Xiaoxian and Xiao Yunduan took a stroll around the village. Despite the abundance of mountains and scarcity of fields in An's province, the scenery was truly captivating. Even within this modest village, there were sights that ignited one's senses. The mountains echoed with the calls of cuckoos, and wild cherry trees dotted the landscape. Though currently barren, one could envision the breathtaking beauty that awaited with the arrival of spring, when verdant hills and flowing rivers would come to life. Following a restful night at the land officer's residence, save for missing Anan, everything proceeded smoothly. Anan was in the capable hands of the nanny and maids, so there was no cause for concern. He wasn't too young anymore to spend a night away from his mother, and Xiaoxian forced herself to put aside any lingering worries. Children deserved indulgence, but there was no harm in teaching them resilience. As the sky once again dawned hazy, the group prepared to depart. The winter chill of the early morning was piercing, clinging to their faces and hands with bone-chilling intensity. Their breaths formed clear puffs of white air in the crisp atmosphere. Thankfully, their thick clothing provided ample warmth, offering comfort as they ventured forth. Chapter 1935. In the mountain, it was a rare occasion for them to venture out for leisure and exercise, and excitement permeated the group. As the mountain path gradually grew rugged and overgrown with weeds, fatigue failed to dampen their spirits. In the depths of the winter mountains, the stark and desolate scenery instilled a profound sense of chill and solemnity. As the sky brightened, a wet white fog gently cascaded along the mountain ridges with the morning breeze, creating an ethereal veil. The emerald hues of the mountains enveloped by this mist exuded a serene beauty reminiscent of paradise. Despite the winter season, the intermediate mountains resonated with the melodious chirping of numerous birds. Their cheerful tunes reverberated through the ancient forest, infusing the travelers with renewed vitality and dispelling fatigue. Anne's province seldom experienced snow, save for occasional moderate falls every few years. However, deep within the mountains, those braving the cold could behold the enchanting spectacle of rime-covered trees rivaling the allure of snow-dusted landscape, a true crystalline wonderland of unparalleled clarity. Although it was only the 12th lunar month and not yet cold enough to witness the breathtaking rime, there was no need to fret. They could still marvel at it from the lofty peaks near Leoha Manor when the time came. Today, their purpose was clear. They had come for the hunt. At that moment, the sun had just risen, casting a gentle morning glow upon the landscape. It was around 9 in the morning. Xianxia, Lu Fu, and the others surveyed the terrain and unanimously agreed that it was promising. With its rugged terrain and towering ancient trees, it held great potential for a successful hunt. With ample time at their disposal, there was no need for haste. They settled in a spot and indulged in the dry provisions they had brought along. Lu Fu, Xiaoxiao, and the other children were particularly animated, eagerly discussing their expectations for the day's hunt. Under the tutelage of Xianxia and the others, Lu Fu's martial skills had advanced rapidly. He even expressed his desire to bag 2 significant prey for his lord and madam, much to Xiaoxiao and the others' envy. Caught between amusement and concern, Xiao Yunduan cautioned, "The mountain is fraught with peril, and you are still young. Don't take unnecessary risks. Confronting wild beasts could have dire consequences." Lu Fu grinned mischievously. "They'll stick close to Uncle Zheng. Don't worry, Lord." Xiao Xian chimed in with a smile. "If you encounter a wild boar, make sure to flee. They're the kings of the mountains, and you shouldn't provoke them unless you're confident." Lu Fu's eyes widened in astonishment and admiration. Yes. Madam knows about this too." Mian Mian and Xiao Xiao echoed in unison. "Madam knows everything." Laughter filled the air, Xiao Xian included. After a simple meal, the group dispersed to search for prey in the mountains. This terrain was beyond compare for the average person. The mountains were rugged, the vegetation dense, and countless birds and beasts lurked amidst the foliage. Yet, success in hunting still relied on luck. Despite the challenges, the group exuded confidence, bolstered by their numbers and collective experience. Xianxia had already delegated scouts to forge ahead and leave markers along the path, while the rest followed at a distance. Walking alongside the team, Xiao Xian grasped Xiao Yunduan's hand and communicated with the plants as she moved. With a gentle sweep of her power, she surveyed everything within range. Their surroundings teemed with wildlife: pheasants, grouse, mountain eagles, wild rabbits, roe deer, foxes, squirrels, musk deer, mountain cats. A diverse array of birds and beasts populated the landscape. Chapter 1936, Chasing Prey. Xiao Xian's keen eyesight caught sight of a massive wild boar, its thick fur resembling that of a calf. With long, sharp tusks and fierce, beady eyes, it exuded an aura of intimidation that sent shivers down the spines of onlookers. For the time being, they hadn't encountered any tigers or wolves. In truth, Xiao Xian harbored a desire to stumble upon herds of wild sheep or deer. With their ample numbers, it would be relatively easy to hunt them, and the meat would undoubtedly be succulent. Before long, the group began to see results. In the blink of an eye, they had acquired several more hares, pheasants, and grouse. I even managed to bag a deer weighing approximately 20 kilograms, eliciting cheers of joy from everyone. At least they had successfully hunted a substantial prey. Even if they couldn't catch larger game, the smaller catches of wild rabbits and pheasants made the trip worthwhile. The mountain range was abundant with medicinal herbs, but their value wasn't particularly high. Unable to collect and store them in her interspace, Xiao Xian reluctantly left them behind. Xiao Yunduan remained steadfast in his protective stance, refusing to let her wander alone in such unfamiliar territory. He kept her close, tightly holding her hand. Despite feeling a twinge of regret for abandoning her clandestine plans, Xiao Xian conceded to her husband's overprotectiveness, feeling a sense of helplessness. Soon, they stumbled upon 2 large Ganoderma lucidum mushrooms, each at least 300 years old. Recognizing their value, Xianxia nonchalantly led the group in their direction. Coincidentally, they stumbled upon the mushrooms from afar, much to everyone's delight. Xianxia carefully climbed the cliff to retrieve them. They carefully wrapped the Ganoderma lucidum in several layers of tree leaves and placed them in a small basket. Amidst laughter, everyone remarked that it was wise to follow Lord and Madam. After all, this Ganoderma lucidum had thrived for countless years, rendering it priceless. Merely laying eyes on it was a treat in itself. Xianxia smiled and declared, "Everyone will receive a portion of today's harvest, including the Ganoderma lucidum. Upon returning, assess its value, and everyone will receive their share." As for the Ganoderma lucidum, it naturally belonged to her. The others would offer it to her. According to the rule of mountain exploration, anyone who spotted valuable finds would receive a portion, regardless of age. However, Xiao Xian and Xiao Yunduan were the principal members of the expedition, not equal partners. It was ultimately their decision whether to distribute it to others. Upon hearing Xiao Xian's generous offer, everyone expressed gratitude with smiles on their faces. No one would complain about having too much wealth. Subsequently, they stumbled upon over 5 kilometers of wild Gastrodia elata. If not for Xiao Xian and Xiao Yunduan's familiarity with each other, they might have overlooked it. The others had heard of Gastrodia elata but were unaware of its location. Their joy knew no bounds. They considered themselves incredibly fortunate to be amidst such bounty in the depths of the mountain. Xiao Xian feigned indifference when she encountered various mundane herbs, choosing to overlook them. The depths of the mountains were brimming with treasures beyond count. Trying to gather them all would be an impossible feat, detracting from their primary objective of hunting. In addition to the myriad of herbs, the mountains also yielded an abundance of wild fruits. Xiao Xian even stumbled upon wild kiwi fruit trees. However, given that she already had kiwi trees in her interspace and some in the orchard in Yuzhang Province City, she paid them no heed. She made a mental note to plant some in Liuhe Manor at a later time. Chapter 1937. Personally reasonable Wu Guan's discovery of a wild deer herd sparked excitement among everyone. With it still being before noon, they swiftly decided to give chase. After thorough discussion and planning, they aimed to catch up with the herd and hunt down 5 to 6, or even 7 deer. Following the hunt, they would take a break to roast some pheasants and hares for lunch before heading back. Anticipation ran high among the group. Wild deer herds were a rarity, even in the forests of En's province. It was said that sightings were few and far between, and even the most seasoned hunters couldn't guarantee success. It all came down to luck. Today, luck seemed to be on their side. The deer herd's pace was neither fast nor slow, but traversing the rugged terrain slowed their progress. Additionally, wild deer were inherently vigilant, easily spooked by the slightest disturbance, often vanishing into the forest. As they drew nearer, caution became paramount, further slowing their advance. Unbeknownst to them, more than 2 hours had elapsed, yet they still struggled to approach the deer herd, which remained nearly 1,000 meters away. They were wary of making too much noise, fearing it would startle the deer herd and lead to a missed opportunity. A significant loss for the day. Despite their mounting anxiety, they refrained from acting impulsively, determined not to abandon the chase. Hour after hour passed, their pursuit relentless. As the sun crept past noon, Xianxia glanced skyward, noting the time. Continuing the chase at this hour was ill-advised. Nightfall in the winter mountain forest approached swiftly, accompanied by plummeting temperatures. Failing to exit the mountain before nightfall posed considerable danger. While he, as their leader, could endure such conditions, considering Lord, Madam, and their accompanying maidservants, it was another matter entirely. Their endurance had been commendable thus far, but it was evident that their physical fitness wasn't suited for traveling after dark. "Lord, Madam, perhaps the 2 of you should remain here with a few others. We'll continue the chase. If we haven't caught up within half an hour, we'll return. It's getting late, and we should prepare to leave the mountain," Xianxia suggested in a hushed tone to Xiao Xian and Xiao Yunduan. Xiao Yunduan found merit in the suggestion. Considering their successful day, he assumed his wife would be content. Turning to Xianxia, he inquired, "What do you think, my dear?" "I believe we should prepare to depart before darkness falls." Xianxia hesitated momentarily before asserting, "Let's press on. We've come this far, and it would be a shame to lose sight of them now. If nightfall overtakes us, we can spend the night in the mountains, seeking shelter from the wind. With our numbers, building a bonfire would be simple, and the night would pass quickly. And if luck is on our side, we may stumble upon a spacious cave, alleviating any concerns." Indeed, they had recently spotted a sizable cave, offering a promising refuge. Additionally, anticipating potential mishaps, they had brought extra shoes and thick clothing ample for an overnight stay. Xiao Yunduan's expression was indecipherable, but Xiao Xian's reasoning held weight, though she refrained from elaborating further. Regardless, finding a suitable cave for the night was assuredly within reach. Chapter 1938. A good place like a paradise. Although spending the night in the mountains posed risks, it wasn't insurmountable. The group was numerous and well-prepared, instilling confidence in facing any potential dangers, including ferocious beasts. Despite the chilly night temperatures, finding a suitable cave could alleviate the discomfort. Initially, Xiao Yunduan disagreed, but he eventually acquiesced to his wife Xiao Xian's persistence. As they relentlessly pursued the deer herd, their enthusiasm remained high, overshadowing any apprehensions about spending the night in the mountains. With the promise of such a sizable prey ahead, their resolve strengthened, shedding any remaining hesitations. After an hour of pursuit, the deer herd seemingly vanished, prompting everyone to investigate. They soon discovered a concealed entrance to a valley, realizing the deer had slipped through it. Undeterred, they pressed on into the unknown. The entrance to the valley was concealed, framed by narrow cliffs that almost seemed to touch the sky, offering only a slender glimpse of the heavens above. After traversing a winding path for approximately 40 to 50 meters, they rounded a corner obstructed by massive boulders, and suddenly, their vista expanded. "Wow! What is this place? It's breathtaking. Look, a deer herd. And sheep too. Are those wild horses grazing on the distant slope? Incredible!" Silent awe enveloped them as they beheld this unexpected marvel, a veritable paradise hidden within the mountains. Spread before them lay an expansive basin adorned with lush, emerald-green grass. Sprinkled throughout were occasional bushes, standing half the height of a person. On the gentle slopes in the distance, tall trees stood sentinel, reaching towards the heavens. A serpentine river meandered gracefully through the basin, its surface shimmering silver under the sun's gentle caress. In the distance, a vast lake mirrored the sky above, its surface also aglow with silver hues, while white dots of waterbirds danced upon its tranquil waters. The verdant reeds, resembling delicate gauze, swayed gently by the lake, a sight that charmed the onlooker from afar. This sanctuary teemed with a diverse array of wildlife, sheep, deer, wild horses, rabbits, pheasants, wild ducks, and more, creating a vibrant tapestry of life. Notably warmer than the desolate, icy forest they had left behind, the temperature here offered a palpable contrast, heightening their senses and spirits. Excitement bubbled within each member of the group as they reveled in the discovery of this unexpected paradise. Never had they imagined such splendor concealed within the forest depths. The ease with which prey could be hunted in this bountiful land alleviated any concerns about spending the night. Xiao Xian, too, felt a surge of excitement and pride, her heart brimming with happiness. Having sensed the richness of this place through her unique abilities, she had been drawn by its lush greenery and vast expanse. Though unable to fully comprehend the basin's entirety with her powers, her curiosity impelled her to explore firsthand. This journey was a rare opportunity, and the thought of missing out on such a wondrous place propelled them forward. They knew not when such an opportunity might present itself again. Chapter 1939. Hot Spring. Furthermore, there was simply no feasible option for them to depart at this moment. Even if they attempted to leave, they would inevitably end up spending the night anyway. Hence, while pursuing the deer herd, Xiao Xian employed some cunning tactics to drive the animals towards this direction. Their arrival at this hidden haven proved fortuitous beyond expectation. None among them had anticipated such a stark contrast to their surroundings. Intrigued by the uncharacteristic warmth of the area, they speculated that the terrain played a significant role. Shielded by the four peaks, the biting cold winds were thwarted, while ample water nourished the lush vegetation, creating a microclimate noticeably warmer than the outside. However, Xianxia possessed deeper insights. Delving further into the basin, she uncovered the source of this warmth: a geothermal hot spring nestled at its far end. At that moment, steam rose from the bubbling waters of over 10 hot springs of varying sizes, enveloping the surroundings in a misty veil. Surrounded by towering mountains and bolstered by the geothermal activity of the hot springs, the basin thrived with flourishing aquatic life, its temperature elevated beyond that of the external environment. Unbeknownst to them, they were now nearly 20 miles deep into the basin, their attention captivated by their surroundings. With knowledge of the hot springs' location, Xianxia expressed her curiosity, suggesting they follow the river to uncover its source. Her smile was infectious, prompting unanimous agreement from the group. Enthralled by the beauty of their discovery, they eagerly embarked on this new adventure, hopeful for further surprises. Though the deer herd had eluded them, the abundance of wildlife in the area assured them of potential quarry for the morning ambush by the water's edge. Yet, in this moment, urgency faded away. They strolled leisurely, the path now accommodating and pleasant. Soft grass and scattered bushes posed no hindrance as they continued their exploration. With the province having already cleared a path, their progress quickened noticeably. Upon reaching the lake's edge, they couldn't resist pausing to admire the scenery. The expansive water stretched out before them, covering an area equivalent to at least 100 mu, its surface shimmering in pristine clarity. Reeds hugged the lake's perimeter, forming a dense, verdant canopy akin to a green tapestry. Above, numerous waterfowl of various sizes, wild ducks, geese, mandarin ducks, and egrets, flitted about, adding to the lively atmosphere. Excitement gripped Xianxia and her companions as they identified familiar and unfamiliar avian species, pointing eagerly at each other. "Look at that plump wild duck. I'll make for a delicious meal. I'll aim for 2. And that goose, it's massive. It's a shame we don't have nets. There must be plenty of fish and shrimp in this lake. Well, we'll bring them next time. We can fashion bamboo rafts with bamboo wood and rope." "Agreed. That's a splendid idea. Does that mean we'll return?" inquired one of the group members, eyes fixed on Xianxia and Xiao Yunduan. Xiao Yunduan grinned knowingly, anticipating his wife's response. Without hesitation, Xianxia returned the smile. "Absolutely. Why wouldn't we revisit such a splendid spot? But let's keep it among ourselves. No need to share this gem with anyone else. Once we're out of here, remember, mum's the word. If word spreads, it won't remain our secret sanctuary," she cautioned, garnering nods of agreement from the group. Xiao Yunduan reiterated sternly, "You heard her. This stays between us. No one else needs to know about this place." Chapter 1940. Good place. Zheng Sang's heart skipped a beat. "Lord, Madam, rest assured. We understand the significance of this place and your intentions for it. We won't breathe a word of it to anyone." Initially, some members of the group hadn't grasped the gravity of the situation. However, upon Zheng Sang's reminder, they swiftly recognized the importance of secrecy and pledged their commitment to it. Xiao Yunduan nodded approvingly. "As long as you keep that promise." While initially unsure of their plans, Xiao Yunduan couldn't ignore the potential of such a remarkable locale. It would be a waste not to capitalize on its possibilities. Xianxia's vision was clear and concise, developing the area into a ranch. Her proposal encompassed raising cattle, sheep, and horses, while also creating ponds for ducks and geese. The prospect was tantalizingly promising. With its natural beauty, ample space, and concealed location, the area seemed tailor-made for such endeavors. Surrounded by mountains on 3 sides and with a narrow entrance, its defenses were formidable. Their brief sojourn by the lake only heightened their curiosity, fueling their eagerness to explore every corner of the basin and unlock its full potential. As the day waned, the sun's rays softened, casting gentle hues across the basin. Despite its vastness, the imposing shadows of distant mountains instilled a chill in the air. Sensing the encroaching dusk, the group quickened their pace. Before long, they noticed wisps of rising water vapor, accompanied by a noticeable rise in temperature. Puzzled yet intrigued, they exchanged speculative glances. Xianxia's sudden revelation broke the silence. Could that be a hot spring up ahead? It would explain the warmth, especially in winter. Wu Guan's eyes widened in realization. It seems likely, but the intensity of the steam. This must be an exceptionally large hot spring. I've never seen anything like it. Indeed, echoed the others in agreement. Those unfamiliar with hot springs, like Lu Fu, Xiao, and the rest, bombarded Wu Guan with questions, eager to comprehend this natural phenomenon. As Wu Guan elucidated, their eyes widened in astonishment, their anticipation for what lay ahead heightened. The idea of naturally heated spring water bubbling up from the earth without the need for firewood seemed almost magical. With laughter and excitement, they hastened their steps toward the basin's end. True to their expectations, a vast hot spring awaited them, enveloped in swirling steam. The warm vapor caressed their faces, inducing a sense of relaxation and tranquility. Confronted with such a welcoming sight amid winter's chill, none could resist the allure of warmth. As they crouched beside the water, Xiao and the others eagerly dipped their hands in, exclaiming in delight, "Wow, it's really hot! So comforting and magical! What a marvelous discovery! It's incredibly convenient." Their spirits lifted, they settled into comfortable spots to wash their hands and faces. Xian issued a cautionary reminder, advising everyone to test the water's temperature beforehand to avoid any burns. Some sections were as scalding as boiling water, posing a risk of injury. Even Xian and Xiaoyunduan indulged in the ritual of cleansing their hands. Tempted by the natural hot spring, Xian entertained the notion of taking a bath. However, given the circumstances, it was clearly impractical. It wouldn't be appropriate for her, as the prefect's wife, to partake in such a leisurely activity in the wilderness, especially with so many subordinates present. Such behavior would be deemed impolite and improper. Regrettably, she had to resign herself to the reality of the situation. Chapter 1941. Build a hot spring villa. Xiaoyunduan couldn't help but notice his wife's contemplative gaze fixed on the hot spring water. He knew what she was thinking, and he found himself entertaining similar thoughts. Approaching Xian with a smile, he suggested, "Dear, how about we establish a hot spring villa here? It's not far from An City, and we could spend a few days here." Xian's smile mirrored his own. "I was just about to suggest the same thing. Building a hot spring villa here wouldn't be too complicated, just a wooden house would suffice. Beyond this basin lies the ancient forest, teeming with resources. Even without venturing out, we have lakes, rivers, and abundant prey right here." Xiaoyunduan nodded in agreement. "Come spring, when the weather warms up, we'll arrange for its construction." Excitedly, Xian added, "I'll design the villa to incorporate the hot spring directly." "Perfect." Their eyes met, brimming with shared enthusiasm as they delved into planning. With nightfall approaching, preparations for dinner and lodging commenced. Xianxia, Wu Guan, and the others, well versed in the routine, required no instruction from Xiaoyunduan and Xian. Wu Guan led 2 individuals to scout for a suitable campsite, while Yi, Mian, Xiao, and Lu Fu set about handling the prey. Some ventured to gather firewood, while others prepared a space for a bonfire and barbecue. Mian and the others set to work downstream of the hot spring, where the warm water made it convenient to remove fur and wash the prey without fear of freezing hands. Today's catch of wild pheasants, hares, wild ducks, and grouse was swiftly cleaned in the soothing warmth of the water. Meanwhile, he attended to the deer he had hunted, slicing the meat into pieces and threading them onto tree skewers. Once skewered, they sprinkled a mixture of seasonings over the meats, allowing them to marinate and enhance their flavor for the upcoming roast. The abundance of trees on the hillside provided an ample supply of dead branches, easily gathered for firewood. Returning with their finds, the group wasted no time in starting fires. With nearly 20 people present, 2 fires were lit, ensuring everyone could partake in the cooking process. As the flames crackled and danced, each person took charge of roasting their own skewered meat. Mian Mian and Xiao, aware of Xianxia's preference for chicken wings, thoughtfully skewered 3 pairs for her. They also prepared marinated wild duck legs, wild chicken legs, and succulent skewers of deer suet. Knowing Xian and Xiaoyunduan might not finish them all, they ensured there was plenty to share with the group. Once the meat was roasted to perfection, Wu Guan and the others, who had ventured off to scout for a suitable campsite, returned. Their faces were alight with smiles, their excitement palpable. It was evident they had secured a favorable spot for the night. Thanks to Lord and Madam, Wu Guan began, we stumbled upon a cave atop a nearby hill. Upon inspection, we found it spacious and dry. Let's make camp there and light a fire at the entrance for warmth. His announcement elicited cheers of gratitude from the group. Indeed, thanks to Lord and Madam, we have a comfortable place to rest tonight. No worries at all. Xian and Xiaoyunduan exchanged amused glances. They couldn't help but find the situation amusing. After all, they hadn't been the ones to discover the cave. Chapter 1942. Spending the night in the forest with a secure place for the night, the tension dissipated, and an air of relaxation settled over the group. Amidst lively conversation and laughter, the savory aroma of roasted meat wafted through the air, sizzling and crackling as it dripped onto the flames. Flipping the meat and adding seasoning, they continued to roast until the fragrance intensified, enticing all with its mouth-watering appeal. As the last morsels were savored and the sun dipped behind the mountains, they extinguished the bonfire and followed Wu Guan and the others back to the cave, carrying firewood for the night. Navigating the slope proved effortless, and soon they reached the cavern, spacious and dry as promised by Wu Guan's earlier assessment. With discussions underway, arrangements were made for night watch duty. A fire was kindled at the cave entrance, ensuring warmth and security throughout the night. As everyone settled in, Xian called for Xia, Mian, and Xiao to join her and Xiaoyunduan, carving out a space for their small group within the larger gathering. Xian nestled against Xiaoyunduan's embrace, engaging in quiet conversation with Mian before succumbing to fatigue. Today had been particularly taxing, and the excitement only added to her weariness. Cradled in her husband's arms, she felt a profound sense of security, drifting into slumber almost effortlessly. She stirred occasionally throughout the night, not due to the cold but rather the simplicity of their accommodations in the cave. As dawn broke, Xian roused from her rest, greeted by the sight of the brightening sky. A smile graced her lips as she met Xiaoyunduan's gaze, exchanging silent understanding. "It's already dawn so soon," she remarked. Xiaoyunduan returned her smile. "Indeed. Unlike home, we can rise with the sun here." Xian chuckled as she noticed the absence of others in the cavern. "Seems like everyone has already departed," she observed, a hint of bemusement in her tone. Their departure had been so discreet that she hadn't even noticed. Xiaoyunduan offered his hand to help Xian up, and as they exited the cave, she remarked with a smile, "I wonder if Anan slept well last night. He must have missed me. Let's head out now, maybe we can make it back to An's city tonight." Xiaoyunduan replied, "Anan is just a boy, there's no need to fuss. Children sleep well when they're tired, regardless of whether you're with them or not." Xian shot him a reproachful glance. "He's still young, you shouldn't speak about him so casually. You usually spoil him too." Xiaoyunduan simply smiled in response, saying nothing. As they approached the hot spring's edge, they spotted Mian, Xiao, and the others laughing and playing in the water. It was their first encounter with the hot spring, and they seemed to be enjoying it immensely. Upon noticing Xian and Xiaoyunduan's arrival, they eagerly greeted them, ready to share their experiences. After a quick freshening up, Xian and the group headed to the spot where the bonfire had been roasted the night before. Not long after, Zheng Sang and the others returned one after another. The atmosphere was filled with jubilation as everyone recounted their gains from the expedition. The prey in this area proved to be exceptionally abundant and delectable. Despite the distant howls of wolves during the night, likely driven over the mountain to hunt, the lush vegetation still attracted numerous herbivores. Xianxia and his companions enjoyed a fruitful morning, resulting in a bountiful harvest of 10 deer, along with 20 to 30 pheasants, hares, wild ducks, and more. For breakfast, they roasted pheasants, wild rabbits, and other small game, savoring the fruits of their labor before preparing to depart. The deer they captured were notably robust, with one weighing in at 80 to 90 caddies, and 2 especially plump specimens tipping the scales at over 100 caddies each. Chapter 1943. Returning to the city, more than 10 individuals returned from their excursion, laden not only with the deer they had captured but also with yesterday's harvest of Gastrodia elata and Ganoderma lucidum. Along the journey, they also managed to casually hunt a few wild rabbits and pheasants, returning with a bounty of game. The journey had been considerable, justifying the acquisition of such prey. Despite widespread envy, others could only resign themselves to this reality. By noon, the returning party reached the village where they had been staying. Deer hunting in the forest was a rare feat, even for the most seasoned hunters who hesitated to venture too deeply into its depths. The return of Xiao and their companions with such a remarkable haul left the entire village in awe. Almost the entirety of the village flocked to the land officer's residence to witness the spectacle. Excited children dashed around, exclaiming, "Look at the big deer! Look at the big deer!" They eagerly squeezed in, their envy palpable. One of the village's landlords even inquired if they were willing to sell the deer. However, selling was out of the question. The effort to acquire them had been considerable, and there were only 10 deer to share among them. Only those of notable stature could claim a portion, leaving the rest disappointed. The landlord was eager to purchase a deer by any means possible, but faced with their refusal, could only reluctantly abandon the idea. Ordinarily, a landlord might resort to raising the price or employing threats, but Xiao and their companions seemed formidable and not easily swayed. Hence, the landlord dared not provoke them. In a gesture of gratitude, Xiao and the others gifted a pheasant and a wild rabbit to the land officer's family, sharing a modest meal before departing for An's province. Although they had already settled their accommodations with the land officer's family, the added gifts brought joy to their hosts, who bid them farewell with smiles. As night fell, Xiao and company returned to the state office. After freshening up and changing out of their travel-worn attire, Xiao went to check on her son. Children often seek reassurance from their mothers, particularly in the darkness of night. The little girl's muffled cries for "Mom" prompted relief and happiness among Nanny and the others when Xiao arrived. The little guy was so happy that he screamed and threw himself at Xiao, almost falling off the bed. The nanny, Kaiyun, and the others eagerly reached out to embrace him. The little one showed no fear, only giggles. Xiao chuckled, scooping the child into her arms and peppering his face with kisses. "How dare you? My sweetie, do you miss me?" The little girl giggled and snuggled closer to Xiao, her laughter melting Xiao's heart. As Xiao approached, he beheld the tender scene of mother and daughter embracing and couldn't help but smile, his eyes soft with affection. The successful hunt brought joy to all. Servants from the east courtyard gathered excitedly, chatting and pointing as they marveled at the sight of the wild deer. Although they couldn't feast on it, the novelty alone was worth the spectacle. The comfort of the lavish bed and soft pillows ensured everyone enjoyed a restful night's sleep. The following day, Xiao made the decision to divide the spoils. She and Xiao retained 3 deer, 2 pheasants, 2 wild rabbits, and 2 wild ducks for themselves. Meanwhile, Xianxia and Wu Guan divided 4 deer, along with 8 pheasants, wild rabbits, and wild ducks among them. Yi and the others received 1 deer, 1 pheasant, 1 wild rabbit, and 1 wild duck each, with the remainder distributed among Hang Xingshan, Sun Bai, and Sun Qian. Chapter 1944. Lord Xiao's luck. The outcome was deemed fair by all, with no disputes over the distribution. Lord and Madam received only a small portion, ensuring most of the spoils were shared among everyone else. There was little else to be said. Furthermore, the discovery of such a fruitful hunting ground meant they could return for more in the future. Xian and the others generously provided a portion to the servants, allowing each of them to enjoy a few bites. However, Wuxia, Xianxia, and the other stewards were excluded from this share. Instead, Deputy Prefect Jia, along with Wuxia and Xianxia, received 2 portions. Regrettably, none of the remaining scribes received any portion. With half of the spoils remaining, Xian and Xiaoyinduan were left with a manageable amount, aided by the cold weather allowing for preservation of the sutras, pheasants, rabbits, and wild ducks. The fresh and succulent venison was processed into meat paste and used to cook porridge, pleasing Ainin as well. It had been quite some time since Xian had tasted such fresh venison. From roasted to stir-fried, grilled to stewed, the meat was prepared in various delectable ways, culminating in a splendid feast. On a whim, Lord Xiao decided to take his wife hunting, and it was only after they returned with a full load that news of their excursions spread throughout An City. Families in the area couldn't help but marvel at their luck. Despite An's province's mountainous terrain teeming with prey, Lord Xiao seemed unusually fortunate. Their destination was Mealy Town, and considering the time spent en route, it was evident they wasted no time delving into the mountains for the hunt. Remarkably, they managed to capture 10 deer. While the smaller prey they caught weren't included in the count, their achievement was nonetheless impressive. With only 18 individuals in their party, and considering that Lord Xiao, Madame Xiao, and the younger children and maids lacked hunting prowess, it was quite extraordinary for a group of 12 or 13 people to secure 10 fat deer in such a short span. Their strength and luck were truly commendable. While they occasionally ventured into the mountains for recreational hunting, they never ventured too deep. They had never personally hunted deer before, let alone laid eyes on one. However, there were skilled hunters who captured and sold deer in the area. Admittedly, it wasn't a common occurrence. This was largely due to the elusive nature of deer herds, which typically avoided areas frequented by humans. They were swift and vigilant creatures, making them challenging to hunt. The return of Lord Xiao with such a bountiful harvest left everyone in awe. His luck and fortune were undeniable, prompting a collective sigh of admiration. It seemed one would fare well to align themselves with Lord Xiao, fostering honesty and cooperation for future endeavors. Amidst these reflections, it became evident that the weight of New Year gifts would significantly increase. As the New Year approached, families vied to send lavish offerings to the prefectural yamen, adhering to tradition. Xian, in her role, accepted these gifts graciously and prepared suitable returns, keeping herself busy in the process. Some of the offerings were notably extravagant, prompting Xian to find justification swiftly. Given her husband's recent achievements in subduing bandits and assuming control of a region, it made sense for the attention lavished upon him. In any case, as everyone participated in the customary exchange of gifts for the new year, Xian reciprocated accordingly, ensuring she could afford to do so. Before they knew it, the 48th year of Qi Xian had arrived. Although Xian and Xiaoyinduan had not managed to reunite with Xiaoding village, they found solace in the company of many friends and Ainin, creating their own small reunion. Chapter 1945. Another banquet in An's province. The realization that their hometown was within easy reach, just a few days' journey away, brought a sense of closeness that narrowed the perceived distance in their hearts. No longer did they feel the overwhelming loneliness of being isolated at the edge of the world. Instead, they found solace in this newfound proximity. This sense of ease was palpable, offering genuine comfort to their hearts. As parents, Xian and Xiaoyinduan found themselves immersed in numerous social engagements during the spring festival, leaving them with little free time. Fortunately, no affluent family in An's province dared to challenge the authority of Lord Xiao and Madame Xiao. Consequently, Xian was finally able to relish the happiness of being the wife of a local government official. While Xian harbored no grudges from the past, First Madame Fan extended an invitation for her to attend a banquet. With a gracious smile, Xian accepted, despite her lingering aversion toward the Fan family. As the wife of the prefect, she understood the importance of maintaining decorum and refrained from letting personal preferences dictate her social interactions. Remarkably, the once influential Fan family now adopted a more subdued approach. While they traditionally hosted the first spring banquet, this year they chose to schedule it for the 12th of the first month, almost at the conclusion of the spring festival. The scale of the banquet hosted by the Fan clan this year was notably smaller compared to previous years. In truth, the Fan family was currently in a state of embarrassment and humility. The prospect of hosting a banquet seemed daunting, given the stark contrast in their status. They would feel ashamed even if they attempted to treat their guests lavishly. Nevertheless, they had no choice but to extend an invitation to Lord Xiao. The consequences of not inviting him would only compound their embarrassment further, as rumors and speculations from outsiders would likely exacerbate their predicament. Fortunately, Xianxia found no reason to decline the invitation, demonstrating her willingness to visit, much to the relief of the two patriarchs and the two matriarchs of the Fan family. Madame Xiao's visit signaled Lord Xiao's leniency toward the Fan family and the bandits. Despite this, the Fan clan remained cautious, maintaining a low profile. When Xianxia arrived as the prefect's wife, it was expected that Old Lady Fan would personally welcome her and extend polite greetings, demonstrating the Fan family's sincerity. However, due to her advanced age, Old Lady Fan hesitated to subject herself to such discomfort. Instead, she chose to remain secluded within her courtyard, feigning illness as an excuse to avoid the social interaction. Fan Ruyan, likewise, struggled with the situation. Despite her reluctance to lower her status in front of Xianxia, her daughter persistently urged her to reconcile with Madame Xiao to secure her attendance at the banquet. Unable to dissuade her daughter, Fan Ruyan had no choice but to agree. Bai Ruerue took great care in preparing for the occasion, meticulously selecting attire and jewelry while inquiring about Xiaoxian's preferences as well as those of her maids. This gesture both pained and gratified Fan Ruyan. While she couldn't shake the remorse for past events that had led to her daughter's suffering, she found solace in Bai Ruerue's maturity and willingness to shoulder the family's burdens. On the day of the Fan family's banquet, Xiaoxian, as customary, invited Mrs. Jia to accompany them. Upon their arrival, the women of the Fan family and the early arriving guests eagerly went out to welcome them. The two matriarchs of the Fan family greeted them with careful smiles as they all proceeded into the reception hall and took their seats. As pleasantries were exchanged, gifts were presented, and tea was served by the Fan family's maids, the atmosphere gradually warmed with laughter and conversation. However, Fan Ruyan remained reticent throughout the proceedings, fearful that speaking might lead to an outburst of anger towards Xiaoxian. It was a struggle she couldn't avoid, as her emotions threatened to overwhelm her. Thus, she chose silence as her refuge. Chapter 1946, Puzzlement. Fan Ruyan, visibly distressed on the sidelines, harbored such intense disdain for Xiaoxian that she found herself continuously mocking and mentally rebuffing her throughout the event. In stark contrast, Bai Ruerue's concern for Xiaoxian was palpable. Despite her junior status, she couldn't help but keep a watchful eye on Xiaoxian, occasionally stealing glances that puzzled those around her. However, her gaze was devoid of hostility. Xiaoxian, with her keen intuition, eventually sensed Bai Ruerue's genuine concern. Initially oblivious, she soon recognized the sincerity behind the younger woman's actions. This unexpected behavior left Xiaoxian perplexed. She never imagined that Fan Ruyan's daughter would harbor a desire to befriend her. Uncertain of the mother and daughter's motives, Xiaoxian couldn't shake the feeling of apprehension. However, the prospect of Fan Ruyan reforming her ways instilled a sense of cautious hope. Despite her skepticism, Xiaoxian found solace in the notion that Fan Ruyan was at least fearful. In her eyes, that fear served as a deterrent, ensuring that the event proceeded without incident. As the day came to a close, and the Fan family bid farewell to Xiaoxian without any disruption, a sense of relief washed over the two matriarchs, finally allowing them to exhale the tension that had plagued them throughout the gathering. After bidding farewell to the guests, the two matriarchs finally allowed themselves to relax, feeling deeply exhausted yet satisfied with the successful outcome of the event. However, second Mrs. Fan didn't immediately retire to her courtyard for rest. Instead, she sought out her sister-in-law to discuss the day's events. She couldn't help but express her confusion, remarking, "Today was quite intriguing, wasn't it?" Despite our sister-in-law refraining from causing trouble after being taught a lesson, I can't quite fathom Rueru's behavior. In the past, she was always in cahoots with her mother, singing praises to old Lady Fan. But today, she seized the opportunity to cozy up to Madame Xiao and shower her with flattery. It's as if the sun is rising from the west. Second Mrs. Fan continued, and did you notice her attire? Normally, she prefers flashy and ostentatious outfits adorned with gold and silver embellishments. Yet today, she exuded a much more refined and elegant aura, especially with those striking snow-green embroidered chrysanthemums. First Madame Fan furrowed her brow, equally perplexed by Rueru's sudden change in behavior. After pondering for a moment, she offered a tentative explanation. Perhaps this is just a phase of adolescence. Given the recent upheavals in the family, it's possible that Rueru has undergone some internal changes. From what I observed, she seems to possess a bit more resilience than her mother. Second Mrs. Fan scoffed. I hope you're right. If that mother and son duo continues their scheming, our family will truly be in dire straits. No one can endure being tormented repeatedly. In my opinion, even if that girl is frightened, there's no need for her to ingratiate herself with Madame Xiao. It's better to keep her distance from Madame Xiao and the state government altogether. That's the safest course of action. Second Mrs. Fan's fear was palpable. After all, Lord Xiao and Madame Xiao had dealt with such formidable mountain bandits. What weight did the Fan family carry in comparison? It was almost laughable. Thanks to that self-righteous woman's actions, they had no real rapport with Lord Xiao and Madame Xiao. Despite attempting to move past previous conflicts, they remained marginalized compared to other families. Therefore, it was deemed fortunate to maintain a considerable distance from them, ensuring a stable life with no concerns about sustenance while safeguarding their existing industries. Chapter 1947. Interrogation. Restoring the prosperity of the past, at least for the next few years, seemed impossible. Second Mrs. Fan acknowledged this reality with a pragmatic outlook, harboring little attachment to past glories. As the wife of First Madame Fan, she was perhaps even less willing to accept this truth, yet she could bear it. She begrudgingly admitted its validity. But when it came to Fan Rian and her daughter First Madame Fan pondered for a moment before deciding, I will speak with them. Second Mrs. Fan nodded in agreement. That's right, sister-in-law. Don't forget. Once Second Mrs. Fan departed, First Madame Fan remained seated, quietly sipping her tea. After a while, she set down her cup and summoned someone. Then, she proceeded to the courtyard where Fan Rian and Bo Ruerue resided. First Madame Fan chose her words carefully. Fan Rian couldn't help but feel a surge of anger. What had she done to deserve this reprimand? Was it her conduct at the banquet today? Was her sister-in-law intentionally causing her trouble? Unable to contain her frustration, Fan Rian lashed out, venting her pent-up emotions. Feeling aggrieved and infuriated, she physically assaulted First Madame Fan. First Madame Fan's expression darkened as she responded with icy composure, I was merely offering a friendly reminder. We can't afford any more trouble for our family. Madame Xiao's presence at today's banquet, and its smooth proceedings, are hard-won. Am I wrong to remind you of this? Fan Rian sneered, Sister-in-law, you're underestimating me. Do you really believe I would cause trouble? Would I harm my own family? Remember, this is my family too. First Madame Fan initially refrained from addressing Fan Rian directly, focusing instead on the matter at hand. However, she couldn't ignore Fan Rian's insinuations. Nevertheless, she chose not to engage further. Instead, she cast a meaningful glance at Barari and remarked, Don't dwell on it too much, sister. I'm not one to stir up trouble without cause. I have my own reasons for being here. It's unusual for me to visit Madame Xiao when I have free time. Naturally, I'm curious. It's only natural for me to inquire more. Fan Rian, absorbed in her grievances towards Qiao Xian, failed to notice the subtleties of the exchange. Upon reflection, however, she began to see the validity of First Madame Fan's words. Bai Ruerue was taken aback, feeling a bit flustered by the sudden attention. However, she was not one to back down easily. Blushing slightly, she retorted, Eldest aunt, what are you implying? Our family is hosting this event, so what's wrong with me speaking a few words? How can you suggest otherwise? Fan Ruyan chimed in, exactly. Ruerue is also contributing to the family. She's merely being courteous to Madame Xiao. Are you not satisfied with that? First Madame Fan remained firm, stating, there's no need for flattery. I've made my intentions clear. I am well aware of my actions. Ruerue has always had a penchant for vibrant and elegant attire, and her choice of accessories is always eye-catching. Today, she appears particularly refined and graceful. I just wonder who she's dressing up for. Chapter 1948. Fooled by Ruerue's heart raced as she felt a surge of guilt wash over her. Eldest aunt, why do you always have to criticize me for my choice of attire? Can't I wear something delicate and elegant like this dress? First Madame Fan scoffed. I never said that. With those words, she rose from her seat and departed, leaving Bai Ruerue muttering to herself. When she glanced up, she was startled to find her mother's unwavering gaze fixed upon her. She attempted a forced smile. Mothra Euro Fan Ruyan furrowed her brows, scrutinizing her daughter. Be honest with me, what's troubling you today? I didn't Euro, Rue, I am your mother. Fan Ruyan's tone carried a hint of displeasure. You can't deceive me. I know you harbor disdain for Ms. Qiao, so why pretend? The sight of her own daughter fawning over Qiao Xian right in front of her left her deeply unsettled. If only she could turn back time and intervene before things escalated. Bai Ruerue slowly lowered her head, her delicate fingers fidgeting with her clothes nervously. Despite Fan Ruyan's persistent inquiries, Bai Ruerue stuck to her story, insisting she feared reprisal from Madame Xiao, and thus sought to curry favor with Hera Euro. Though skeptical, Fan Ruyan found her daughter's distress genuine. No matter how hard she pressed, Bai Ruerue remained steadfast, on the verge of tears. Reluctantly, Fan Ruyan had no choice but to accept her explanation. She couldn't help but feel a pang of sympathy for Bai Ruerue. She chastised Hera Euro. After all, the Fan family hadn't reached such dire straits yet. There was no need for a young girl like her to sacrifice herself. Her mother and grandmother would shield her. She couldn't afford to be so naive in the future. Bai Ruerue found solace in Fan Ruyan's embrace. Her voice sounded strained as she hummed, her eyes reflecting profound thoughts. No one could decipher her inner turmoil. As the prefect, Xiao Yunduan abstained from attending banquets, but he remained occupied throughout the spring festival. He busied himself with visits to esteemed families and hosting gatherings to honor erudite Confucian scholars from across the land. One such event was organized to welcome Jia Heming and other officials, providing them solace amidst their duties. Jia Heming, in his capacity as deputy prefect, reciprocated, extending the festivities for another day. Furthermore, Xiao Yunduan engaged in discussions with heads of prominent families to chart the development course for An's province. His schedule left him with scarce leisure time throughout the entire festival. While Xiao Yunduan had no intention of attending banquets hosted separately by the Mei and Hua families, they jointly arranged a gathering. Their motives were threefold: to reciprocate hospitality, to celebrate the advent of spring, and to express gratitude to the prefect for bringing peace and prosperity to An's province. Thus, Xiao Yunduan had to acquiesce, granting them due respect. Coincidentally, on the 12th day of the first lunar month, the prominent family clans secured the services of the renowned Cool Breeze Gang in An's province and extended an invitation to Xiao Yunduan. As they ventured out that day, Xiao Yunduan and Xiao Xian were in each other's company until they diverged along the way. However, Xiao Xian returned at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, prompting Xiao Yunduan's concern that the revelry might continue late into the night. While Xiao Yunduan occasionally attended such gatherings back in the capital, it was a rare occurrence for him here, marking his first attendance. At dinner, Xiao Xian found herself dining alone, with Anan occupied elsewhere. Perhaps due to the prolonged absence of family meals, Xiao Xian experienced a sudden emptiness in her heart. Reflecting calmly, she realized the irrationality of her worries and broke into a smile. She was letting her fears get the best of Hera Euro, fearing that her husband might succumb to temptation and veer off the righteous path. Chapter 1949. Thoughts. He wasn't a naive, easily swayed individual. How could he succumb to others' advances so readily? Moreover, as the prefect, he held a position of authority and prestige. His circumstances had changed since his time in the Capitolero. Few would dare to plot against him so brazenly. As she pondered this, Xianxia found herself growing more reassured. But then, another thought crept Inayuro upon further reflection. She realized that her husband's current status as the prefect brought with it a host of individuals seeking to gain his favor. It wasn't quite the same as their life in the capital. Back then, despite his reputation, he held a modest rank as a fifth-grade official, attracting little attention from those seeking to ingratiate themselves. But now, in An's province, he was the authority figurero, the one everyone sought to impress. And in his efforts to win her favor, he undoubtedly bestowed upon her various benefits: gold, silver, jewels, fertile lands, and perhaps even the attention of other admirers. Yes, Xianxia finally grasped the source of her unease. With a soft sigh and a smile, she anticipated what lay ahead. She also couldn't help but wonder if her suspicions were correct. Undoubtedly, Xiao Yunduan must have attracted quite a bit of attention from the women at the banquet today. The New Year's festivities presented an ideal opportunity for individuals to cozy up to Lord Xiao, a temptation that had lured many before the arrival of the new year. Lord Xiao had no concubines, and his affections were solely reserved for Madame Xiao. With the young master still in his tender years, Madame Xiao bore the responsibilities of both child-rearing and household management, in addition to navigating social obligations. Her plate was undoubtedly full, leaving little room for her husband's personal care. Considering this, it seemed only logical that Lord Xiao would benefit from the presence of a sensible and considerate companion. Indeed, anyone capable of presenting Lord Xiao with a suitable partner stood to gain considerable influence in the future of An's province. Lord Xiao's capabilities were such that aligning oneself with him promised prosperity and success. However, the task of providing Lord Xiao with a companion he truly admired was no simple feat. Lord Xiao wasn't a man of base desires. He was a distinguished scholar hailing from the most flourishing capital in the world. Prior to his relocation, he enjoyed considerable favor even within the prince's circle, suggesting he had encountered his fair share of captivating individuals. So, how could an ordinary beauty capture his attention? This woman would need to possess youth, beauty, intelligence, talent, empathy, gentleness, and consideration at the very least. She would need to exude an allure so captivating, so enchanting, that Lord Xiao couldn't help but be drawn to her. In essence, finding such a person was no small feat, but there were always those willing to take up the challenge. For instance, today, an affluent gentleman surnamed Zhuang went to great lengths to procure a clever and youthful maiden named Lu Ji from Jiangnan. While inebriated, he entertained the notion of presenting her to Lord Xiao. As for the entertainment arranged for today's festivities, the singers and dancers had been meticulously chosen and rehearsed well in advance. Many of these talents were specially imported from overseas before the onset of the new year. The elite families of An's prefecture spared no expense in their preparations for the banquet. Commencing at noon, the banquet commenced with guests seated amidst the soft strains of music, engaging in jovial conversation and laughter. The ambience was vibrant and convivial. Meanwhile, the gentlemen congregated, indulging in food, drink, and musical merriment. Before long, they found themselves unwinding as they engaged in animated discourse. Chapter 1950. Dance. Xiao Yunduan wasn't particularly fond of these social gatherings, but he understood their necessity and prevalence. He wouldn't display any displeasure or rebuke simply because he didn't enjoy them. He knew he had to put on a good show and navigate through the day. As the wine flowed and the dishes circulated, the atmosphere grew even more buoyant. Conversations grew livelier, with some attempting to introduce risque, humor into the mix. Observing Xiao Yunduan's disapproving frown, they promptly ceased their inappropriate banter. Following the main course, the table was cleared, making way for an array of exquisite fruits, snacks, fragrant teas, and fine wines. The temporary stage, though devoid of any ambiguity, hosted a spirited performance, adding to the festivities. Despite having listened to performances all afternoon and dining well into the night, the excitement persisted. Throughout the event, Xiao Yunduan received compliments and toasts from those around him. He handled them with grace, neither overly affable nor aloof, maintaining a perfect balance that allowed no one to overstep their boundaries while leaving no room for criticism. Feeling weary of the social obligations inside, Xiao Yunduan sought respite by stepping outside for a while. The Cool Breeze Gang, renowned as the most opulent eatery in An's prefecture city, boasted a charming back garden, small yet exquisitely designed. Given its limited space, the garden featured potted flowers of various varieties arranged according to their blooming seasons. Plum blossoms, camellias, azaleas, and more adorned the landscape, their vibrant hues complementing the surrounding rockery, sweet osmanthus, bamboo, and picturesque pines. Nestled in one corner stood a quaint pavilion, encircled by water on three sides with a lively pond housing koi and other fish, adding a touch of whimsy to the scene. As Xiao Yunduan strolled amidst the garden's splendor, he unexpectedly encountered the second old master of the Mei family. Engaging in brief conversation, they were soon joined by others, their camaraderie leading them back indoors to enjoy the ongoing performance. As the afternoon progressed, the sun began its descent toward the western horizon, casting a golden glow over the surroundings. Gathering once more, the guests accompanied Xiao Yunduan for a leisurely walk through the garden, exchanging laughter and conversation. With dusk approaching, they eventually returned indoors, ready to continue the festivities. The evening banquet presented a marked contrast to the daytime affairs. Arranged in a traditional manner, the seating was organized with a prominent central seat flanked by 2 rows on each side, leaving an open space in the middle. Adorning the center was an exquisite flower carpet, while sumptuous dishes were served with meticulous care. As the toasts began, the musicians in the corner struck up a melodious tune, heralding the arrival of a troupe of dancers clad in alluring attire. With towering elegance and snow-white complexions, they captivated the audience with their mesmerizing performance. Leading the ensemble was a veiled figure, her eyes gleaming like autumn water, her waist swaying with graceful fluidity as she sang with dulcet tones. The spectators were instantly enthralled, their eyes alight with admiration and whispered praises. In particular, the leader of the dancers drew the gaze of nearly everyone present, her beauty both enchanting and mysterious, beckoning with irresistible allure. The song she sang seemed to resonate with the very essence of nature, its gentle melody teasing at the heartstrings of all who listened. Each verse seemed to caress the soul, leaving behind a lingering warmth and a tantalizing itch that could not be ignored. And yet, the veil shrouding her features only served to heighten the anticipation, fueling desires to unveil her true visage. As the final notes echoed through the hall, the audience erupted into thunderous applause and cheers, their fervor such that they wished to shower the beauty with silver and gold, if only to catch a glimpse of her unveiled face. Chapter 1951. Miss Lu Ji. Nevertheless, nobody was naive. They all understood that this exquisite beauty had been specifically arranged for Lord Xiao. They seized the opportunity to revel in the performance, shamelessly stealing more than a few glances. After today, they knew they wouldn't have the chance again. Such a captivating figure, alluring dance moves, enchanting eyes, and mellifluous voice truly epitomized supreme-grade beauty. Those who laid eyes on her couldn't help but feel their pulses quicken and their hearts stir. Lord Xiao was no exception. He was a man, after all. It was only natural for him to desire such a treasure that had practically been delivered to his doorstep. Considering it would come at no cost to him, why wouldn't he desire it? To pass up such a blessing would be sheer folly. Consequently, everyone assumed that this beauty belonged to Xiao Yunduan, and they lavished praise upon her accordingly. Absolutely stunning. Such a song belongs only in the Hevenciero. It's truly magnificent. And that Danciero, it's beyond compare. I've never witnessed anything like it before. A beauty capable of toppling King Danciero, such rarity. We owe it all to Lord Xiao. Indeed, it's all thanks to Lord Xiao. Without him, we wouldn't have had the pleasure of experiencing such a marvelous performance. That's right, Bureau Xiao Yunduan heard everything and frowned slightly. He took it as a joke and did not say anything more. Unexpectedly, when the dance ended and everyone applauded, old Master Zhuang said with a smile, "Miss Lu Ji's song and dance is really amazing. If it weren't for Lord Xiao, there wouldn't be peace in En's prefecture. It's all thanks to Lord Xiao that we can enjoy the song and dance banquet here in peace. We should thank Lord Xiao for his kindness. Miss Lu Ji, why don't you toast Lord Xiao on our behalf?" Everyone cheered loudly, clapping and laughing. Yes, that's how it should be. Yes, it's all thanks to Lord Xiao. Miss Lu Ji, please have a toast to Lord Xiao. A few more toasts. True. Miss Lu Ji still had not taken off her veil, but she smiled at Xiao Yunduan with a charming smile. She raised her hand and walked toward Xiao Yunduan with the small white jade wine glass in her hand. The cloud-like dress brought with it a faint, elegant fragrance, making one feel relaxed and happy. As the captivating fragrance wafted through the air, many couldn't resist leaning in to catch a whiff, though they made sure not to betray their inner desires too overtly, lest they reveal their less than admirable intentions. Seating herself gracefully beside Xiao Yunduan, Lu Ji extended her glass to him, taking the opportunity to draw closer. Lord, however, Xiao Yunduan deftly sidestepped her advance, gently pushing her back with a furrowed brow. "I've had my fill of wine today, so I'll pass. Instead, why don't you grace us with another performance, Miss Lu Ji? I'm sure everyone here would love to see it." Though Xiao Yunduan would have preferred to excuse himself from the situation, he recognized the importance of maintaining cordial relations with the influential families of En's prefecture for the region's development. Regardless of the intentions behind the offer of such a beauty, he couldn't bring himself to accept it. He wouldn't even entertain the idea of touching her. Unaware of her upbringing or background, he could only perceive her as tainted. Chapter 1952. Decline. Lu Ji was momentarily stunned, feeling a wave of unease wash over her as she persisted in clinging to Xiao Yunduan. Lord Yo, however, Xiao Yunduan swiftly evaded her, fixing her with a cold stare that seemed to erect an invisible barrier, freezing her in place, rendering her unable to move. Raising his hand with a feigned gentleness in his tone and expression, Xiao Yunduan delivered a chilling command. "Miss Lu Ji, please depart." Lu Ji stood frozen, unable to utter a word. The onlookers were equally taken aback. Many of the more observant individuals noted Xiao Yunduan's clear lack of interest in Miss Lu Ji. He hadn't even attempted to take advantage of the situation. They couldn't believe it. With Miss Lu Ji's undeniable allure, her figure, her charm, her alluring gaze, her melodic voice, surely she must be a beauty worthy of Lord Xiao's attention, given old Master Zhuang's boldness in offering her. If even Lord Xiao wasn't enticed by such a woman, then who else could possibly win his favor? Despite this, many remained hopeful, anticipating that old Master Zhuang's bold move might inspire others to vie for Lord Xiao's favor in the future, each seeking their own share of the spoils. For any man with means and status, the prospect of possessing numerous beauties was an enticing one. However, if Lord Xiao rejected such a supreme-grade woman, where could one possibly find a better match? Xiao Yunduan's decisive action shattered the illusions of many present. While those less perceptive individuals who remained enchanted by Miss Lu Ji's allure initially expressed their delight upon hearing Xiao Yunduan's words, applauding and cheering for his decision, others praised his integrity and magnanimity. Xiao Yunduan's smile served as a tacit confirmation of their sentiments. Without hesitation, Qin Yan promptly escorted Miss Lu Ji away from Xiao Yunduan's vicinity. Though reluctant to relinquish the wine glass in her hand, Miss Lu Ji maintained a facade of compliance, suggesting, "How could I defy Lord Xiao's wishes? Perhaps you could enjoy this glass of wine first. Afterwards, I'll treat you and the esteemed gentleman to another round of song and dance." The crowd erupted into cheers at her offer. Yet, before Miss Lu Ji could attempt to sidle up to Xiao Yunduan once more, Qin Yan swiftly intercepted, relieving her of the white jade wine glass with a genial smile. "Miss Lu Ji, please. The esteemed gentlemen are eagerly anticipating your performance." Embarrassed by the sudden turn of events, Miss Lu Ji glanced up at Xiao Yunduan with pleading eyes, but his impassive expression provided no solace. It was clear that Xiao Yunduan endorsed Qin Yan's directive. Observing Xiao Yunduan's apparent disinterest, Miss Lu Ji reluctantly swallowed her frustration. Deciphering the situation with practiced acumen, she opted to take a step back, offering Xiao Yunduan a placid smile before resuming her performance for the audience. Xiao Yunduan's aloof demeanor only served to stoke Miss Lu Ji's competitive spirit. Having heard that Lord Xiao had only one wife, who happened to hold the esteemed position of primus, Miss Lu Ji's curiosity about him had been piqued. Now, witnessing Lord Xiao's undeniable charm firsthand, her interest intensified. She hadn't anticipated Lord Xiao's remarkable presence, nor had she anticipated the lascivious and repugnant behavior of the crass old masters. Yet, despite this, her resolve to captivate him remained unwavering. Chapter 1953. Conceded she exuded confidence in her beauty, intellect, and talents, proficient in music, chess, calligraphy, painting, and the art of song and dance alike. Such multifaceted abilities were a testament to her capabilities. She couldn't fathom the idea of being overlooked, particularly by someone of Lord Xiao's stature. The notion of capturing Lord Xiao's attention was exhilarating. She had a gut feeling that if she could sway him, he would become her protector, offering her the stability she yearned for in life. Miss Lu Ji remained undeterred by Xiao Yunduan's initial indifference. On the contrary, she intensified her efforts, pouring herself into her performances, occasionally casting affectionate glances towards Xiao Yunduan. Her displays garnered admiration from the inebriated old masters, eliciting boisterous applause and laughter. Meanwhile, Xiao Yunduan maintained his composed demeanor, silently enduring the spectacle. Such composure was necessary for a local official. As the performance concluded, before Miss Lu Ji or Old Master Zhuang could speak, Qin Yan interjected, "Miss Lu Ji, your performance was exceptional. Lord Xiao wishes to reward you with 100 taels of silver. Please come forward to receive your well-deserved reward." Receiving 100 taels of silver was no trifling matter, yet Miss Lu Ji found herself grappling with the gravity of the situation. Wasn't this precisely what she had desired? "Thank you graciously for your generosity, Lord. Your esteemed regard overwhelms me. May I be permitted to remain and attend to your wine?" Lu Ji's voice was soft and reverent as she inclined her form towards Xiao Yunduan. Her slender frame exuded an air of graceful desperation, amplifying her plea. Her eyes, brimming with timid adoration, coupled with her tender tone, bespoke volumes of admiration. Such a display of charm would render any man vulnerable to her allure, imbuing him with a sense of pride and assurance. As the crowd erupted in cheers, laughter, and applause, Lu Ji's bashfulness swelled into fervent passion, propelling her towards Xiao Yunduan with a determined stride. "No need," Xiao Yunduan interjected calmly. "I am not accustomed to close company. Miss Lu Ji, if you're not fatigued, why not grace us with another song and dance? I believe everyone here enjoys your performance." Lu Ji's equilibrium wavered, nearly causing her to stumble. This was unexpected. After expending herself in 2 rigorous performances, she found herself slightly breathless and drenched in perspiration. How could she muster the strength for an encore? To falter now and risk humiliation before Himuro? How could she endure it? Old Master Zhuang appeared poised to interject, but a meaningful glance from First Old Master Mei prompted him to reconsider. Clearing his throat, Old Master Zhuang attempted to diffuse the tension. "Given Lord Xiao's preferences, Miss Lu Ji, perhaps it's best to graciously withdraw. There will be ample opportunities for performances in the future." Xiao Yunduan offered no rebuttal, seemingly disinclined to engage in debate. This wasn't the appropriate time for such discourse. As for whether Old Master Zhuang's remarks held any hidden implications, Xiao Yunduan remained indifferent. There was no need to read too deeply into it, as nobody held sway over him with mere words. Observing Xiao Yunduan's lack of objection, Lu Ji's enthusiasm surged. She offered another shy smile and a respectful bow before Xiao Yunduan, her gaze lingering momentarily before she gracefully took her leave. Perhaps Xiao Yunduan was simply uncomfortable with public displays of affection? Lu Ji had encountered such individuals before, so this behavior didn't strike her as unusual. With this thought in mind, Lu Ji's confidence swelled even further. Following Lu Zhi's departure, the festivities continued with additional performances of song and dance. While these displays were commendable, showcasing a bevy of talented beauties, none quite matched the captivating allure of Lu Zhi. Chapter 1954. Berating. With this incident unfolding, the atmosphere among the attendees grew noticeably strained. Approximately an hour later, Xiao Yunduan announced his intention to depart, prompting the guests to take their leave in succession. The Mei family and the Hua family bid farewell to Xiao Yunduan and politely declined any further invitations. It was widely speculated that the Mei and Hua families harbored plans to surprise Lord Xiao in private. Despite any envy or curiosity stirred among the other guests, none dared to vie with these esteemed families. Upon entering his carriage, Xiao Yunduan found an unfamiliar pair of master and servant awaiting him. The maid, in particular, possessed striking features: a sharp, oval face and delicate contours illuminated by the dim night. Her fair complexion accentuated her beauty, but it was her captivating eyes that truly commanded attention: mesmerizing, alluring, and flirtatious. For a moment, Xiao Yunduan found himself momentarily taken aback, as if encountering this woman for the first time. The woman suppressed a coy laugh behind her hand before speaking timidly. "My lord, I am Lu Zhi. I hold you in great admiration and am willing to accompany and serve you. I offer myself as a humble servant and maid, with no regrets for the rest of my days. Please grant me this wish." Xiao Yunduan's expression darkened. Suddenly, it became clear why she seemed so familiar. "Get off here. Lord. Don't make me say it a second time. Not everyone can board my carriage if they want to. Who asked you to come up? How dare you? Lord, you're wise. I definitely didn't mean to offend you. I just you have already offended me." Xiao Yunduan said coldly. "You came up without my permission, that is an offense. Booed. If you refuse to disembark, shall I have someone assist you?" Xiao Yunduan's stern words jolted Lu Zhi, leaving her no room for further argument. She timidly grasped the maid's hand and hastily exited the carriage. As Lu Zhi vacated her seat, Xiao Yunduan cast a disapproving glance in her direction, his brow furrowing in displeasure. With a decisive pivot, he descended from the carriage and ordered Qin Yan to fetch a horse. Mounting swiftly, he rode off, trailed by Sun Bai and his retinue. Meanwhile, Qin Yan commandeered the vacated carriage, positioning himself at the edge with a disdainful snort aimed at Lu Zhi, before instructing the coachman to proceed. Internally flustered, Lu Zhi found herself at a loss for words, her thoughts swirling chaotically. The maid, bewildered by the unfolding events, voiced her confusion. "Miss, how could Lord Xiao treat you like this? You've done nothing but kinesiro." "Enough," Lu Zhi interjected, her embarrassment threatening to overwhelm her. She turned away, seeking solace in the presence of Old Master Zhuang. Old Master Zhuang, too, appeared taken aback and apprehensive. Could this incident incur Lord Xiao's ire? Regardless of his concerns, his only course of action was to escort Lu Zhi back promptly and relay the events to the second Old Master of the Mei family with haste. Lu Zhi's exceptional beauty made her a rare find indeed. Even with ample resources, locating her wouldn't have been a simple task. Upon hearing the report, second Old Master Mei offered little response, allowing Old Master Zhuang to depart without much ado. However, once alone, his countenance soured considerably. The discovery of this coveted beauty proved to be a disappointment. She seemed utterly ineffectual. Later that evening, the three brothers convened in the study, their minds burdened with worry. Third Old Master Mei was the first to voice his frustration. What is Lord Xiao's objective? If he shuns female company, does he not desire a spouse and heirs? Why shun the company of a suitable mate? What harm could it possibly bring? I find it utterly confounding. Chapter 1955. Fate. Second Old Master Mei let out a heavy sigh. Nothing is guaranteed. I had hoped that Lu Zhi could sway him, or at least earn us a favorable mention. It would have saved us a lot of trouble. Sigh. The two brothers commiserated with each other, their minds burdened with concerns and uncertainties. It's just unfortunate that the gift didn't appeal to him. What more can be done? Lamented one. Old Master Mei listened intently before offering his perspective. Simply because he rejected Lu Ji doesn't mean he's averse to others. Xiao Yunduan is, first and foremost, a scholar hero, a formidable one at that. It's not uncommon for scholars to have reservations, particularly in matters of reputation and sensitivity. His rejection in public may be a reflection of such concerns. Third Old Master Mei chimed in, nodding in agreement. Indeed, scholars often conceal unsavory habits behind a facade of piety. It appears that Xiao Yunduan values his reputation greatly. Perhaps presenting him with a more discreet option would yield better results? Despite his doubts, Third Old Master Mei remained convinced of Lu Ji's irresistible allure. Surely, no man could resist such exquisite beauty. It would be a waste not to pursue her. Old Master Mei interjected, his tone firm. It's not prudent. Xiao Yunduan values his reputation highly. If he rejected Lu Ji, he may not accept her in private. We must explore other avenues to secure his favor. But where could I find another woman like Lu Ji? It doesn't have to be identical, Old Master Mei retorted disdainfully. Scholars are known to value serendipity. Our chance encounter is far more favorable than a direct presentation from others, wouldn't you agree? The eyes of the other two Mei family elders gleamed with newfound hope. Elder brother, that's a brilliant notion. As Xiao Yunduan returned to his quarters in the backyard of the state office, he was greeted by Xiao Xian's welcoming smile. Caught off guard, Xiao Yunduan's gaze softened as he reached out to her. Why you still awake? I was waiting for you, Xiao Xian replied, her smile unwavering. You smell of alcohol. Have you been indulging in drink all evening? Xiao Yunduan hesitated for a moment, feeling a pang of guilt at her inquiry. He was wary of the implications of the cosmetics scent on his clothing, fearing his wife's suspicions. With a forced smile, he responded, No, I was simply enjoying the entertainment. I'm going to freshen up now. My wife is expecting me in our chamber bureau. Though innocent in his actions, he recognized the potential for misunderstandings. It was better to swiftly dispel any doubts to maintain domestic harmony. Xiao Xian nodded understandingly. Go ahead. Xiao Yunduan planted a kiss on her cheek before grinning, Wait for me. With that he shuffled off. Xiao Xian wrinkled her nose and let out a small scoff. She had a keen sense of smell, easily detecting the lingering scent of cosmetics on her husband's clothes. Though somewhat awkward, she dismissed any lingering doubts. It was customary for such gatherings to feature dancers and courtesans, their presence accompanied by a cloud of perfume filling the air. However, Xiao Xian couldn't help but feel a twinge of disappointment. With her husband increasingly attending such events, her own happiness seemed destined to diminish. After a refreshing shower, Xiao Yunduan returned to their bedroom, feeling invigorated. Xiao Xian was lounging against the bed's headboard in her apricot-colored pajamas, her loose black hair cascading over her shoulders. The soft fabric draped loosely around her form, and in the gentle glow of the room, she exuded an air of delicate allure and languid charm. Chapter 1956, Is There a Beauty? As the faint sound of footsteps approached, Xiao Xian glanced up and exchanged a smile with her husband. Xiao Yunduan's eyes brimmed with tenderness. Despite their years of marriage, Xiao Xian still managed to evoke a shy flutter in his heart. Her cheeks flushed, and she found herself unable to meet his gaze. My dear wifey-ero, Xiao Yunduan's chuckle was soft as he enveloped her in his embrace, casting them both in gentle shadows. The scent of fresh water mingled with the familiar aroma of his presence, suffusing the air with a pleasant warmth. Xiao Xian's cheeks grew hot as she kissed him tenderly, her breath quickening with each passing moment. The familiar rush of desire left her feeling lightheaded. The room was steeped in an enchanting ambience, the air thick with anticipation. Eventually, as the tension ebbed away like dissipating clouds after a storm, they remained ensconced in each other's arms, reluctant to disrupt the tranquil atmosphere. After tidying up the room, Xiao Yunduan drew her close once more, his smile tinged with contentment as he whispered sweet nothings into her ear. Xiao Xian indulged in playful banter, running her fingers through his hair. With a mischievous half-smile, she teased, Did you happen to encounter any captivating beauties at the banquet today? The ambience was just right, the perfect moment for indulgence and affection. It was only fitting that he inquire. However, there was no way she could retire for the night with him. Otherwise, slumber might prove elusive. Xiao Yunduan gently tapped her nose, a knowing smile gracing his lips. He anticipated her question. In truth, he began, there were a few performers singing and dancing, their cacophony causing quite the headache. Whether they were exceptional or not mattered little to me. Their presence holds no significance. Xiao Xian chuckled, feeling reassured by his response. For women, a man's attitude mattered most, words reinforced by actions. Indeed, she concurred, those unruly individuals harbor ill intentions. My dear husband, steer clear of their company. Should anyone persist in associating with them despite the warnings, I'll not hesitate to assert my claim as a jealous wife. Xiao Yunduan gently kissed her, his voice tender, never. I couldn't bear it. They already had a son, with plans for more children in the future. If his wife were to be labeled as a jealous woman, their children could simply brush it off, joking that she was their daughter-in-law, and it wouldn't affect their son-in-law. Xiao Yunduan was thinking ahead, considering the long-term implications. If Qiao Xian had known his thoughts, she would have been torn between laughter and exasperation. But she didn't press further, content with his response. Never one to dwell on such matters, Qiao Xian shifted the conversation to their plans for admiring the Lantern Festival lights on the upcoming 15th day of the lunar month, before drifting off to sleep. It would be the first New Year celebration since the resolution of the bandit problem. Naturally, the Lantern Festival on the 15th day of the first lunar month promised to be lively. The local government had issued calls for merchants to prepare countless lanterns, ensuring a grand celebration. As the final festivity of the spring festival season, the Lantern Festival marked the beginning of warmer weather and the implementation of new plans for farmers and merchants alike. The bustling festivities of the Lantern Festival were a fitting conclusion to the joyous season of celebration. As the Lantern Festival approached, a multitude of lanterns adorned the backyard of the state government office. With dusk settling in, the lanterns were gradually illuminated one by one. Anan, curious and intrigued, reached out tentatively to touch them. Meanwhile, Qiao Xian had instructed the kitchen to prepare a generous assortment of glutinous rice balls, featuring fillings such as sesame sweet osmanthus, red bean paste, peanut, hawthorn, pork, fish, and chikiniro, enough to satisfy the entire east yard. Additionally, she arranged for a plentiful supply to be distributed to the guards on duty at the office. Chapter 1957, Lantern Festival. They also arranged for a special break for the guards. Those with no pressing duties were permitted to take time off and enjoy some leisure activities. Grateful for the gesture, the guards happily expressed their thanks. After indulging in the glutinous rice balls, they gathered their friends and ventured out in groups to join the festivities. Qiao Xian and Xiao Yunduan decided to explore the Lantern Festival together. However, Anan, still too young and with the crowds at the festival, was left behind. Despite missing out on the Lantern Festival, Anan was entertained by the numerous lights in the yard. Unbeknownst to him, Qiao Xian slipped out of the door. The Lantern Festival grounds had been meticulously planned by the Yamen, featuring 2 long streets and a spacious square interconnected. Tonight, access to the area was restricted, with no carriages or horses allowed entry, and bailiffs stationed at the entrances. Stepping off the wagon, Qiao Xian and Xiao Yunduan found themselves engulfed by a bustling throng of revelers. So many lights, such a lively atmosphere. Next year, when Anan is a bit older, well, bring him along too. Qiao Xian remarked with a smile, envisioning future outings with her child. Xiao Yunduan assisted Qiao Xian in fastening her cloak, adorned with rose-red embroidery and rabbit fur trim, before intertwining his fingers with hers and guiding her forward. Anan is still young, he'll be fine on his own. This year's Lantern Festival held a dual significance, commemorating the triumph over the bandits and celebrating the appointment of the new Lord Prefect. Merchants and prominent families spared no expense in adorning the streets with a dazzling array of decorations. The streets were aglow with myriad lanterns, each more splendid than the last. Xiao Yunduan admired them as they strolled, marveling not only at their exquisite designs and illustrations but also at the diverse materials Usidiro, silk, gauze, craft paper, snow wave paper, mulberry paper, wood, bamboo, feathers, glass, jade, and more. Each lantern boasted intricate craftsmanship, adorned with silk, jade, beads, and threads, captivating the eyes of passers-by. In the spacious plaza, enormous lanterns resembling miniature houses adorned the surroundings, their brilliance imbued with symbols of auspiciousness: pine cranes, springtime scenes, carps leaping over the dragon gate, change ascending to the moon, flourishing lotus flowers, and bamboos signifying safety. Crowds gathered around these magnificent displays, pausing to admire, jest, and point in awe. Numerous grand lanterns were adorned with vibrant floral arrangements, surrounded by pots of blooming lilies, chrysanthemums, coxcombs, and more, enhancing the festive ambience. Xianxia was filled with excitement, unable to contain her praises. Yet, amidst her admiration, a tinge of regret lingered. It was a shame that such a picturesque scene couldn't be captured in photographs. If she wished to behold it again after today, she'd have to wait until the following year. Xiao Yunduan reserved a private room at a tea house overlooking the square. As they made their way toward it, intending to savor the scenery from the comfort of the tea house, they unexpectedly encountered Mrs. Jia and two other acquaintances, also immersed in lantern admiration. Mrs. Jia and her companions approached them with greetings, prompting Xianxia to extend her hospitality. One of the ladies, Mrs. Lin, suggested they join her in the private room. Madame Jia and Mrs. Long chimed in, smiling warmly. Reluctant to appear inhospitable and mindful of preserving social decorum, Xianxia acquiesced with a smile, urging Xiao Yunduan to return home with her. The three ladies were delighted by Xiaoxian's decision, bidding farewell to Xiao Yunduan politely before accompanying Xiaoxian to the tea house. Chapter 1958. Accident. Xiao Yunduan sighed helplessly, resigning himself to the situation. It was disappointing that he had taken his wife out to enjoy the lanterns, only for her to be whisked away by Mrs. Jia. Thankfully, they had spent most of the evening shopping, otherwise his disappointment would have been even greater. With Xiaoxian now occupied, Xiao Yunduan found himself reluctant to venture to the tea house alone. Feeling somewhat foolish sitting by himself amidst the bustling crowd, he decided to head back the way they came. Considering the scale of the Lantern Festival, the government had undoubtedly made extensive preparations. Bailiffs were stationed strategically, and city gate patrols remained vigilant. Xiaoxian was accompanied by Li Xia, Li Qiu, Mian Mian, and Yi, while Xiao Yunduan had Sun Bai and his men ensuring his safety. However, Xiao Yunduan hadn't anticipated causing trouble while out shopping. As he navigated the bustling market, a sudden shove sent him off balance, causing him to collide with a woman. She let out a cry of surprise as the delicate glass lantern she held slipped from her grasp and shattered upon impact. Feeling somewhat embarrassed, Xiao Yunduan glanced around, grateful that his current disguise had kept his identity hidden. It wouldn't have looked good for the dignified lord of the prefect state to be seen causing such a mishap. Xiao Yunduan instructed Sun Bai, who was nearby, to handle the situation and compensate the girl for the broken lantern before leaving promptly. The girl's expression froze in disbelief. Lord Xiao hadn't even spared her a glance? Sun Bai, accustomed to handling matters efficiently, approached the girl. Having served in the Crown Prince's East Palace, he was well versed in dealing with various situations. Observing the timing of the collision occurring shortly after Madame Jia's departure, and the subsequent breakage of the girl's lantern, he couldn't help but find the circumstances suspicious. His gaze towards the girl grew more guarded. "Miss, how much is this glass lamp worth? I will compensate you accordingly." The girl forced a smile, insisting, "You can't blame that young gentleman just now. It was my own carelessness. I cannot accept compensation from you." "Miss, you're being too modest. Our master wouldn't want to owe anyone. It's better to accept compensation." Though she refused compensation now, there was no telling what complications might arise later. It was better to settle the matter promptly to avoid future disputes. The situation took a more serious turn due to Xiao Yunduan's status as the lord of the prefect. The girl attempted to refuse the compensation once again, but found herself unable to do so. To her surprise, she noticed that the individuals who had pushed her had not yet departed. They lingered nearby, pointing and laughing amongst themselves, seemingly discussing something. With a determined glare, the girl confronted them, angrily pointing them out. "You're the ones who pushed me just now, causing me to accidentally bump into that young gentleman and break the glass lamp. You should be responsible for compensating for it. Xiaochun, don't let them leave. They need to pay." Her two maidservants swiftly obeyed, rushing over to confront the individuals and demand compensation. Tensions escalated rapidly, and the atmosphere grew charged with conflict. Chapter 1959. Misunderstanding. Amidst the escalating argument, Sun Bai, accompanied by his subordinate, found himself unable to depart immediately. Frowning inwardly, he couldn't help but cast a reproachful glance at the woman embroiled in the dispute. In his mind, Sun Bai couldn't comprehend why such a fuss was being made over a mere glass lamp. Regardless of its value, there was a limit to its worth. His lord was certainly not lacking in wealth. He could easily afford to compensate for it, no matter the cost. Sun Bai was certain that Xiao Yunduan wouldn't haggle or fuss over such a trivial matter. Why, then, was this woman causing such a scene? Watching the woman's two maidservants engage in heated argument with the others only served to heighten Sun Bai's irritation. However, he opted not to intervene. After all, it wasn't his place to mediate. Besides, taking sides would only complicate matters further. Deciding to observe from the sidelines and await a resolution, Sun Bai failed to realize the implications of his inaction. This was the Lantern Festival, a bustling event teeming with crowds. It was a magnet for onlookers eager to witness any spectacle. Before Sun Bai could discern the gravity of the situation, a throng had gathered around, drawn by the commotion. As the crowd swelled, the likelihood of encountering acquaintances increased exponentially. With the growing crowd, the likelihood of encountering acquaintances skyrocketed, especially for someone like Sun Bai, a constable of the An's province's government office, known to many in the city. True to expectations, it didn't take long for someone to recognize him amidst the throng. Before long, a familiar face approached Sun Bai, offering greetings and inquiring about the situation, offering assistance if needed. The sharp-witted maidservant, Xiaoyi, seized the opportunity to amplify the situation, raising her voice to draw attention. Boom! In no time, the entire gathering was abuzz with speculation. As rumors spread, they took on a life of their own, growing increasingly absurd. Soon, the tale morphed into a sensationalized narrative. Lord Xiao, witnessing an injustice, unsheathed his sword to defend a young and beautiful woman being harassed by ruffians in the lantern market, accidentally shattering a glass lamp in the process. His chivalrous act sparked awe and admiration throughout the crowd. The romantic gossip between a man and a woman had always been a favorite topic of discussion among the locals. Even the slightest hint of a connection would set imaginations alight, sparking wild interpretations and rampant rumors. The intrigue was heightened by the fact that one party was a young and beautiful heiress from an obscure family, while the other was a rising star, the Lord Prefect. The tantalizing 8 trigrams between them fueled endless curiosity and speculation. As the crowd swelled that night, Sun Bai began to sense that something was amiss. Dismissing the instigators and compensating the girl with silver, he attempted to clarify the situation. However, some people were more inclined to believe their own fantasies than the truth. There were even those who cynically believed that Sun Bai's explanations were merely attempts to cover up the real story. As for Sun Bai's true intentions? Well, that was a secret he couldn't divulge. Her speculation wasn't unfounded. It had a basis. After all, why would Constable Sun escort that girl home that night if there wasn't something between her and Lord Xiao? It seemed like the most logical conclusion. Upon hearing this later on, Sun Bai couldn't help but feel dejected. The girl had pleaded with him pitifully to accompany her home, citing fear of further harassment from the instigators. Faced with a vulnerable trio of women in the dead of night, Sun Bai found it impossible to refuse. Chapter 1960. Unexpected. If anything were to happen to that girl, it could potentially implicate Lord Xiao, making the situation difficult to explain. From Sun Bei's perspective, he had simply escorted her home, ensuring her safety with the presence of his subordinates and 2 acquaintances. He had believed it would be a straightforward task, but he hadn't anticipated the ensuing rumors. In reality, the moment the girl accidentally shattered the glass lamp on Xiao Yunduan, events spiraled out of his control. Both Xiao Yunduan and Sun Bai remained unaware of the rumors circulating about them. For Xiao Yunduan, it was a minor incident that he swiftly left behind, delegating to Sun Bai without further concern. As for Sun Bai, he too saw the night's events as uneventful and quickly moved on. With the demands of post-spring festival responsibilities looming, neither of them gave much thought to the incident thereafter. Thus, he found himself at a disadvantage. This was the unfolding narrative. Meanwhile, Xiao Xian and Mrs. Jia didn't linger long at the festival, as women typically didn't stay out late. By the time Xiao Xian returned home, Xiao Yunduan had already retired for the night, and Anan was sound asleep. The couple settled into their room, and the night passed without incident. With the conclusion of the spring festival, Xiao Yunduan was consumed with tasks like rice planting and road repairs, leaving little room for leisure. Given that the rice seeds had been provided by the government the previous year, Xiao Yunduan intended to continue his partnership with Yuezheng Xiao for this year's crop. However, no one could guarantee the same yield as last year. It was widely regarded as a stroke of luck, an anomaly in the Lord Prefect's favor. Xiao Xian recognized the importance of managing expectations moving forward. If the same level of prosperity from the previous year was expected again this year and beyond, disappointment and resentment among the people would inevitably arise. With this in mind, Xiao Xian decided against intervening in the rice production this year, including her own 60,000 mu of paddy fields. Upon returning from their hunting trip in Meili town, Xiao Yunduan and Xiao Xian had already conferred with Jia Heming and others regarding the road repairs, and the project was now officially underway. The infrastructure of An's province had languished for numerous years, leaving the roads to various towns in dire need of repair. In the 3 towns near the capital city, the road conditions were relatively better. However, as one moved further away from the capital, the road conditions deteriorated significantly. The 2 towns furthest away faced substantial challenges in transporting rice seeds and collecting taxes on public grain every year. The state of those roads was a constant headache for authorities. Xiao Yunduan agreed with his wife's perspective. He realized that if they aimed to prosper, they needed to prioritize road construction. Inadequate transportation infrastructure would hamper the exchange of goods, hindering commoners from bringing out specialty products for sale. Their own families' experiences underscored this point. To achieve prosperity, they needed to engage in commerce. Engaging in commerce didn't necessarily mean everyone becoming a merchant. Their family could sell various products like tea leaves, silver fungus, medicinal herbs, mushrooms, and fruits for profit. However, the lack of a reliable road network made buying and selling incredibly inconvenient. Following the 15th, Xiao Yunduan dispatched a reliable scribe to enlist locals familiar with the terrain to survey and record the land, laying the groundwork for road construction. Chapter 1961. Busy. Most of the road repairs involved filling in the original foundation and widening some sections. The overall layout remained largely unchanged, provided one was willing to endure hardship and adhere to provincial regulations. Manpower for road repairs was readily available through conscription, with nearby commoners providing the necessary labor force. The government historically employed this method whenever manpower was needed. However, the real challenge lay in financing the road repairs. Procuring materials such as stone, wood, sand, and essential medical supplies, particularly trauma medication, required significant funds. Additionally, providing daily meals for laborers was essential, as Xiao Yunduan insisted on ensuring they worked on full stomachs. Laborers engaged in physical work typically consumed large quantities of food, often requiring 5 or 6 fist-sized steamed buns each or even more to feel satisfied. Meeting these financial demands posed a considerable obstacle. While the state office's finances had improved somewhat, they were not yet affluent enough to freely allocate funds for such projects. Furthermore, the road repairs presented an opportunity to solicit donations from wealthy families and businessmen who stood to benefit the most from the improved infrastructure. Xiao Yunduan had been actively engaged in negotiations for contributions in addition to his regular duties. Meanwhile, Xiao Xian was equally occupied with her own responsibilities. She had plans to cultivate a variety of herbs, star anise, peppers, and fruit trees in large quantities this year. Ensuring the success of these endeavors required careful planning and execution, leaving her with a full schedule each day. Despite their busy lives, the couple still found moments to express their affection for each other and spend quality time with Anan. Unbeknownst to them, rumors were circulating widely among the elite families, but they had yet to reach the general public. As days passed swiftly, 5 days had already slipped by unnoticed. 5 days was enough to confirm the rumors in the public's heart. Xiao Yunduan and Xiao Xian did not come out to refute the rumors, and even those who did not believe it at first started to believe it. If Xiao Yunduan had taken action when the rumors first began to circulate, perhaps he wouldn't be so frustrated now. On this particular day, Mrs. Jia approached Xiao Xian with a hesitant demeanor, as if she had something to discuss. When Xiao Xian inquired with a friendly smile, Mrs. Jia hesitantly brought up the rumor she had heard. "I've heard a rumor that Lord Xiao has set his sights on the third daughter of the Lu family and intends to take her as his concubine," Mrs. Jia murmured. "They say the third daughter of the Lu family is gentle and kind-hearted, not one to stir up trouble. But with the Mei family's influence, Lord Xiao wouldn't dare disrespect his wife, would he?" Xiao Xian was taken aback, her mind reeling with disbelief. The third daughter of the Lu family? How is she connected to the Mei family? And my husband, liking her? Where on earth did you hear such nonsense? Xiao Xian found the idea preposterous. While it was true that wealth could sometimes change a person, there had to be some indication, some shift in behavior. Yet, for the past few days, her husband had been affectionate and attentive, showering her with affection. They had made plans to spend quality time together, enjoying leisurely outings with Anan and even discussing future trips to Liuhe Manor for hunting and exploration. Chapter 1962. Ridiculous. Why would Xiao Yunduan suddenly fall for the third daughter of the Lu family? After all, Xiao Yunduan was just a prefect in a remote area, recently emerging from a perilous situation. He hadn't even reached a high rank yet, and their good days were just beginning. It seemed absurd for him to act so arrogantly. Mrs. Jia was equally surprised by Xiao Xian's reaction. "Madam Xiao, are you serious? Don't you know?" Xiao Xian couldn't help but chuckle. "If I didn't know my husband so well, I might have fallen for it too. It's clearly just baseless gossip. What a ridiculous notion." But her amusement quickly turned to anger. "Who spread such malicious rumors? If I find out, they'll regret it." She couldn't fathom the malicious intent behind spreading such falsehoods. "Boudreaux," Mrs. Jia faltered, looking perplexed. "This news has been circulating for days. I heard that Lord Xiao rescued a damsel in distress during the Lantern Festival. Sensing that something was amiss, Xiao Xian pressed Mrs. Jia for more information. True to her character, Mrs. Jia divulged all she knew, unwilling to hide anything from Xiao Xian. The rumors sounded plausible and confident, and with so many witnesses, it was easy to believe. Lord Xiao had even requested Constable's son to escort Miss Lu home. The fact that Lord Xiao didn't refute the rumors only fueled their spread. Mrs. Jia couldn't help but sympathize with Xiao Xian when she saw the distress in her eyes. Dealing with such widespread rumors would undoubtedly be challenging. She feared that Madame Xiao might eventually have to acquiesce to Lord Xiao taking Miss Lu as a concubine. If not, regardless of the justification Lord Xiao provided for rejecting her, he would be seen as a heartless villain. Fortunately, third Miss Lu was the daughter of a concubine, and even the niece of the Mei family's first madam couldn't exert much influence. Xiao Xian quickly grasped the situation. Her husband had been framed. It was possible that the Mei family and the Lu family were behind this scheme. However, neither Sun Bai nor her husband seemed to take the matter seriously. They had been preoccupied with other tasks in recent days, and even Xianxia and the others were busy. Consequently, while there was likely an uproar outside, their lack of response might be interpreted as either tacit approval or guilt. This was becoming quite troublesome. Although she was only a concubine's daughter, she still had a reputation to uphold. If the situation didn't resolve favorably, it could tarnish her reputation irreparably. This could even force a fabricated relationship to become a reality. Those schemers. Xianxia seethed with anger. Mrs. Jia took her leave soon after. The moment she departed, Xianxia instructed Mian and Yi to gather information. In truth, if they didn't gather information, they wouldn't know the extent of the situation. However, if they did, the need to ask would be unnecessary. Xianxia summoned Xiao Yunduan back. Xiao Yunduan was utterly perplexed, even more so than Xianxia. Initially, he had no clue what Xianxia was talking about. This only added to the confusion. Who was this third daughter of the Lu family? He didn't know her, nor did he owe her anything. Regarding the incident at the Lantern Festival, it was true that someone had accidentally bumped into him. As the prefect of the state, he had to compensate, regardless of whether he was at fault. Little did he expect it would escalate into such a mess. Xiao Yunduan grew frustrated. What is the Mei family plotting? Xianxia couldn't help but feel a twinge of jealousy. Now they all think that my husband is so lonely without anyone to look after him, so he should be showing concern for her. Chapter 1963. Anger. Hadn't it always been like this since ancient times? Officials and merchants colluded. No, they cooperated. One party provided backing, while the other received monetary rewards. The Mei family might not have been the only ones contemplating such actions. It was just that the Mei family had acted first. After all, she was merely a concubine's daughter. So what if the process lacked glory? She was just €30, a concubine's daughter. Regardless of a merchant's power, they remained a merchant. Offering the daughter of a concubine to an official as a concubine, particularly to a young and promising official with a bright future, wouldn't bring shame to their family. Rather, it would be seen as an honor. Furthermore, it could yield benefits in the future. In any case, the Lu family wouldn't come out at a loss. They must have presented their proposal to Xiao Yunduan, who turned them down. That was why Xianxia felt reassured. Now wasn't the time for jealousy. Xianxia merely voiced his grievances. The primary concern was how to address this issue. As a local powerhouse, the Mei family wielded significant control over public sentiment. They adeptly manipulated and stoked the flames to ensure events unfolded seemingly naturally, detached from their involvement. 5 days had passed since the incident, and Xiao Yunduan and Xianxia had missed the prime window for investigation and clarification. Even the rowdy individuals implicated in the night's events likely found themselves swiftly dealt with by the Mei family and relocated. With little recourse, Xiao Yunduan felt a deep sense of frustration. His sole solace lay in the fact that his wife remained understanding and refrained from causing a scene, sparing him further trouble. Expressing his discontent with both the Mei and Lu families, Xiao Yunduan sought to reassure Xianxia. He vowed to resolve the issue and adamantly declared his refusal to marry the third daughter of the Lu family. Come what may in the court of public opinion, he was determined to dispel these rumors. Even if faced with criticism for not initially addressing the rumors, Xiao Yunduan felt compelled to set the record straight. Upon learning of the situation that day, he resolved not to let the rumors persist unchecked. Without delay, that very afternoon, Xiao Yunduan refuted the rumors and provided a full account of the events from that fateful night. Simultaneously, he steered and managed public opinion. As the prefect lord, honesty was his cornerstone. There was no need for deceit. If he truly harbored affection for Miss Lu, who happened to be a concubine's daughter, he believed that his sincerity alone would suffice to persuade the Lu family to consent to her joining him. There was no need for him to resort to rumors tantamount to coercion. Hence, this rumor was undoubtedly unfounded and certainly not of his making. His prior silence stemmed from his preoccupation with agricultural matters and road maintenance, leaving him oblivious to external affairs. Similarly, his wife, engrossed in farming, paid little heed to external happenings. The unfolding of events caught him off guard, and he acknowledged his fault in inadvertently implicating the innocent Miss Lu. He came forth to testify to Miss Lu's innocence and expressed his remorse, vowing to compensate the Lu family accordingly. Should the Lu family stipulate any condition, barring illegal or unethical demands, he pledged to fulfill them to the best of his ability. This assurance carried weight, for he held the esteemed position of Prefect Lord of An's prefecture city. Failure to uphold his word publicly would tarnish his reputation and jeopardize his future endeavors. Chapter 1964, Self-Recommendation. Simultaneously, Xiao Yunduan gravely addressed the presence of an instigator working behind the scenes to sow discord between himself, the Lu family, and the Mei family. Their aim was to disrupt the harmony and progress of An's prefecture. Such a person was utterly despicable. He pledged to launch a covert investigation to uncover the identity of this malicious individual. Once found, they would face severe consequences for their sinister actions. These words reverberated with shock among the onlookers. Many were intimidated into silence, refraining from reckless discussions. Even if the flames of discontent burned within, they dared only to confide in their families behind closed doors, avoiding any brazen remarks. The citizens of An's city were well aware of Lord Xiao's capabilities. His stern warning quelled any further impudence. Despite their influence, were they as formidable as the bandits from the 3 villages? To Xiao Yunduan's surprise, Second Old Master Lu, the father of Third Miss Lu, visited the prefect's office the following day. Reluctantly, Xiao Yunduan appeared, understanding the gravity of the situation, despite his inner discontent. Second Old Master Lu approached with genuine contrition. He bowed deeply to Xiao Yunduan, expressing profound apologies and acknowledging the fault of the Lu family in the unfolding events. He explained that the Lu family had been caught off guard by the rumors, utterly bewildered by the situation. Given the involvement of the prefect lord, they hesitated to make any hasty remarks, fearing inadvertent offense. To do so would be a grave transgression. Hence, they awaited the prefect lord's declaration, hoping to gauge his stance first. Little did they anticipate that the prefect lord, engrossed in his administrative duties, remained unaware of the situation until it had escalated to its current stadia. The Lu family's shame was palpable. Xiao Yunduan clenched his jaw. Devoid of the Mei family's support, Xiao Yunduan found it difficult to believe that the Lu family would feign ignorance and perform a charade before him. As one of An's province's 2 prominent family clans, the Mei family managed to deceive everyone except him, displaying audacity bordering on arrogance by not even fearing his ire. Xiao Yunduan had little patience for Second Old Master Lu's lengthy explanations. Cutting him off, he declared the matter resolved. As long as the Lu family remained reasonable, all would be well. His assurances stood firm. If the Lu family harbored any requests within his capacity to fulfill, he would not hesitate to oblige. To his surprise, Second Old Master Lu made an immediate plea. He implored Xiao Yunduan to take Lu Xianyun as his concubine. Lord Xiao, you've met the girl. She is suitable to serve both you and your wife. The Lu family's sincerity is genuine, and the girl herself is willing. I earnestly hope that Lord Xiao can grant my wish. Lord Xiao, I understand your demanding schedule, and it might be challenging for Madame Xiao to manage alone. Despite my daughter's delicate appearance, she has received a thorough education from her mother. If she accompanies you and Madame, she will undoubtedly adhere to the rules and never overstep her bounds. You can trust in her obedience, Lord. Furthermore, with your formidable capabilities, who would dare to flout the regulations under your watchful eye? Given the circumstances, my daughter is, after all, a woman. This situation is somewhat a in addition. Perhaps it is fate. It seems too coincidental otherwise, don't you think? Chapter 1965. 3 Mei Brothers. Lord, I implore you to grant my request. Second Old Master Lu pleaded earnestly. He subtly hinted at Lu Xianyun's upbringing, emphasizing her education in etiquette, painting, and calligraphy since childhood. Should she become part of the Lu family, they would spare no expense on her dowry. Xiao Yunduan found Second Old Master Lu's words repugnant. Maintaining his composure, he instructed someone to escort Second Old Master Lu out of the room. The atmosphere within the prefectural government office had changed. Such brazenness and shamelessness were no longer tolerated. Despite his indignation, Second Old Master Lu refrained from causing a scene. his demeanor darkening as he departed in disappointment. His resilience was noteworthy. Though he left Xiao Yunduan's presence crestfallen, he regained his composure and dignity upon reaching the court's entrance, appearing calm and refined once more. It was as if he was having a great conversation with Lord Xiao. Those who didn't know better would think that he was satisfied. Second Old Master Lu did not go home directly. The carriage circled the streets and found a secluded alley with few people. After making many turns, he quietly entered through the corner door at the back of the Mei residence. The three old masters of the Mei family were all at home. It seemed like they were still waiting for him. "How's that? How is it?" Second Old Master Lu smiled bitterly. What did you say?" Under the interrogation of the three brothers of the Mei family, Second Old Master Lu recounted the process of meeting Xiao Yunduan in detail. The more the three brothers of the Mei family listened, the worse their expressions became. Second Old Master Lu, the serious second brother-in-law of the Mei family, had always been a little afraid. Moreover, the Mei family was much stronger than the Lu family. Seeing this scene, they could not help but feel anxious and puzzled. However, he did not dare to say anything, let alone ask. "Lord Xiao doesn't like anything. What does he want?" You want someone like Madame Xiao, right? But I don't think that Madame Xiao is anything good. What do we do now?" The three brothers of the Mei family were extremely depressed. Second Old Master Lu observed the exchange, attempting a smile as he spoke. "Perhaps it's best to put this matter behind us. With Lord Xiao's clarification, I doubt anyone will dare to speak out. Besides, there's talk of compensation. What do you understand?" Third Old Master Mei interjected furiously. Clarification? Who needed clarification when they were eager for the rumors to gain traction? And compensation? What good would it do? It wasn't that they doubted Xiao Yunduan's sincerity, but they knew it wasn't what they desired. Second Old Master Lu remained silent, inwardly lamenting. Even before the Fan family's demise, the Mei family stood at the forefront of the three prominent families in An's prefecture city. Their prosperity in recent years had made them a towering presence akin to the sun in the sky. What cause did they have for fear? For Xiao Yunduan to effectively govern An's prefecture and foster economic growth, he relied on the support of these prominent families. With the Fan family already eliminated, if Xiao Yunduan were to unjustly harm the Mei family, wouldn't he worry about the repercussions from other influential families? If the region were to destabilize, he, as the governing official, could forget about maintaining stability. Surely he wasn't so foolish? He struggled to comprehend their intentions. Chapter 1966. One direct strike. First Master Mei asked Second Old Master Lu to go back first. The moment he left, the three old masters of the Mei family became even more frustrated. "Elder brother, I feel uneasy. It won't be good if this matter isn't resolved. Lord Xiao is so difficult to deal with. Elder brother, what should we do?" Alas! Old Master Mei also felt unprecedented frustration. Lord Xiao wasn't motivated by wealth or enticed by beauty, and his family couldn't offer him power. It seemed he lacked any other interests. Even if he did have hobbies, his family likely couldn't provide anything to captivate him. With his abundant wealth, wouldn't he simply procure whatever he desired? Consider his swift acquisition of the vast land around Liuhe Fort, not to mention the 60,000 mu of fertile land and numerous shops formerly belonging to the Fan family. He made these purchases without hesitation. Not to mention, the state government still owed their family over 100,000 taels of silver. Even if they resorted to force, they wouldn't stand a chance against him. It was like facing an impregnable fortress. What could they possibly do against such a formidable opponent? After a pause, Old Master Mei spoke slowly. "Do you think Lord Xiao suspects our involvement in the Lu family's affair?" Third Old Master Mei, never one for subtlety, blurted out, "Of course he might. Otherwise, why would the Lu family dare to act?" Old Master Mei sneered. "Indeed. If that's the case, since we've already incurred his displeasure, why not go all the way?" Their family didn't necessarily need to be on good terms with Lord Xiao. They simply needed to remain indispensable. Whether the relationship between the Mei and Lu families was coerced or genuinely harmonious mattered little. Thus, When Xiao Yunduan refuted the rumors and silence prevailed, Second Ms. Lu accompanied Lu Xianyun to the state office the day after Second Old Master Lu's visit. They requested to see Qiao Xian. Qiao Xian had just briefed Mian Mian, Songshi, and Lu Fu on the impending arrival of the first batch of pepper and fruit trees, instructing them to prepare for planting. She also outlined plans for decorating the mansion at Liuhe Manor. Upon hearing of Second Ms. Lu's arrival, she adjusted her attire with a smirk. The antics of the Lu family were rather amusing. Hadn't her husband already made himself abundantly clear? As the lord of the prefect, was there any need for him to deceive? Naturally, the reputation of this young lady from the Lu family remained untarnished. They came yesterday and came today. They were so insensible. Did they really want to marry and not become enemies? Greetings, Madame Xiao. Greetings, Madame Xiao. Second Ms. Lu led Lu Xianyun and her attendants, who knelt upon arrival. Lu Xianyun introduced herself, prompting Qiao Xian to cast another glance at her. With a smile, Qiao Xian invited them to sit and ordered tea. Second Ms. Lu, what brings you here? As soon as Second Ms. Lu settled, she rose again, prompting Lu Xianyun to follow suit. Madame Xiao, I implore your mercy. I come to plead on behalf of someone. Pretending ignorance, Qiao Xian arched an eyebrow, feigning innocence. That's peculiar. I can't fathom why the Lu family would seek my clemency. Second Ms. Lu, are you jesting with me? I wouldn't dare jest with you, Madame Xiao. No matter your intelligence, dignity, and virtue, I wouldn't dare deceive you. It's all because of this girl. Chapter 1967. Leaving her behind, I understand that the blame has been directed towards the Lu family for this incident. We were sluggish in our response and nearly tarnished Lord Xiao's reputation. I extend my sincerest apologies to you and Lord Xiao. Qiao Xian didn't concern herself with whether this was a retreat or not. An apology was forthcoming, and she accepted it. It's true that the Lu family's reaction to this matter was delayed. Our lord is occupied and genuinely unaware of these rumors. Likewise, I was unaware. Had I known, I would have promptly stepped in to address the falsehoods. Why didn't you dispatch someone to inform us sooner? Allowing these rumors to fester and tarnish your daughter's reputation is quite lamentable. Second Ms. Lu was taken aback. Yes, Madame Xiao, you are correct. Qiao Xian continued. So, your purpose in coming here is to apologize for this? That's unnecessary. Our lord has already quashed the rumors, and he's not one to hold grudges. Once the misunderstanding is cleared, he won't hold you accountable. Second Ms. Lu remained speechless. Qiao Xian had conveyed her message. However, recalling her eldest sister-in-law's counsel, Qiao Xian realized there was more she needed to address, despite having said quite a bit already. However, Second Ms. Lu didn't dare to say any nice words or play any tricks. Madame Xiao didn't fall for it at all. Second Ms. Lu feigned ignorance of Qiao Xian's implication, gazing at her with sincerity. Lord Xiao and Madame Xiao, I appreciate your kindness, but not everyone in this world possesses such generosity. There are countless fools who revel in mocking and attacking my third daughter with their vile words. She suffers unjustly. Madame Xiao, today I come to plead, despite the discomfort it brings me, to beseech you to allow the three of us to remain. We have been educated in etiquette and manners since childhood through women's ring and women's training. We are well-behaved and modest. We can assist you in shouldering your burdens. Rest assured, Madame Xiao, upon entering your household, she will dutifully obey your instructions and defer to your authority. She will seek your guidance in all matters and never act against your wishes. I implore you, Madame Xiao, to grant her a place to reside and silence those who gossip. I beg of you to show compassion. Lu Xianyun cast a pitiful glance at Qiao Xian before humbly lowering her head and kneeling silently, displaying her submission. Qiao Xian remained silent. Second Ms. Lu persisted. Madame Xiao, forgive me for overstepping my bounds. Lord Xiao is young, talented, and destined for greatness. He may one day ascend to high office. Currently, he lacks a companion, but in the future he will possess wealth and influence beyond your capacity to manage alone. Rather than risk him forming ties with individuals ignorant of his background and beyond your control, it's prudent to plan ahead. I cannot promise much, but I assure you that my third daughter will be faithful and obedient to you. You need only guide her, and the Lu family will not intervene. Chapter 1968. Personally send it back. If you doubt our sincerity, am willing to swear an oath written and witnessed. I can even have our third miss swear to it. We're earnest in our request, Madam Xiao. Please grant it. Xiaoxian couldn't help but feel perplexed. Why was the Mei family so insistent? Did they possess such discerning taste? Were they so confident in her husband's future success that they felt compelled to issue an early warning? Well, address the future when it arrives. I'm not one to concern myself with long-term planning. After all, circumstances can change unexpectedly, can't they? No plan, no matter how meticulous, can guarantee a smooth journey ahead. I'm rather obstinate and inclined to disregard advice. Second Ms. Lu, there's no need for further discussion. Let's conclude this matter here. If there's nothing else, Second Ms. Lu, kindly escort Third Miss Lu back. Madam Xiaoiro, Li Qiao, see our guests off. Yes, Second Ms. Lu, this way please. Li Xia and Li Qiao, irked by Second Ms. Lu's persistence, hastened to usher her out. With no alternative, Second Ms. Lu rose and departed. Lu Xianyun obediently followed her mother out of the office. However, just as they were about to depart the back office, Second Ms. Lu claimed she had dropped her handkerchief and instructed Lu Xianyun to retrieve it for her. Lu Xianyun dutifully turned back to search, only to find herself abandoned as Second Ms. Lu departed with the maidservants. Meanwhile, Lu Xianyun, fulfilling her filial duty, eventually located a handkerchief for her birth mother. However, she was not inside the office. Rather, she knelt before the east gate of the state government office. Passers-by couldn't help but crane their necks, murmuring in hushed tones and speculating about the situation. Xiaoxian swiftly caught wind of the situation, her expression darkening. Li Xia and the others were taken aback. Has the Lu family lost their minds? How audacious! Madam, what shall we do now? We cannot allow Third Miss Lu to kneel there indefinitely. Indeed, it's improper for others to witness this. Those unaware may assume our household mistreats her. This person naturally could not stay there, nor could he be called in. Lu Xianyun was alone. If she was asked to enter the east courtyard now, it would be hard to explain. Li Xia and the others were right. The Lu family was extraordinarily bold. They were blatantly coercing them. Prepare the carriage. I'll take her back myself. Xiaoxian got up. When Xiaoxian came in person, the Lu family had no choice but to open the door. Second Ms. Lu, overwhelmed with guilt, concealed herself and avoided encountering Xiaoxian. Unperturbed, Xiaoxian escorted Lu Xianyun back to First Madam Lu, explaining with a smile, I engaged in a brief conversation with Third Miss Lu, which delayed her return. As I happened to be leaving, I took the opportunity to accompany her back. Now that she's safely home, I must bid you farewell as I have other matters to attend to. The Lu family hadn't anticipated Xiaoxian's swift return with Lu Xianyun. Did Lord Xiao remain unaware of the situation? Madame Xiao's apparent disdain for Miss Lu was unmistakable. She made her decision swiftly and decisively. What could First Madame Lu say? As the matriarch of the family, even amidst the gossip, Xiaoxian, the prefect's wife, asserted that she had detained Lu Xianyun briefly before sending her home. How could First Madame Lu challenge her authority? The family matriarch couldn't afford such a loss of face. While Second Ms. Lu remained absent, Lu Xianyun's biological mother, Concubine Yen, was present. Chapter 1969. Concubine Yen. Before First Madame Lu could respond, Concubine Yen interjected calmly, Madame Xiao, what do you imply? Doesn't Lord Xiao favor our third daughter and wish for her to become his concubine? Have you consulted Lord Xiao about this matter? Is it appropriate for Madame Xiao to dismiss our daughter? Concubine Yan's words were not rooted in genuine knowledge. Rather, Second Old Master Lu had instructed her to speak thus. Nonetheless, she felt a sense of satisfaction in carrying out his directive. Consider the context. Ordinarily, she wouldn't even merit a meeting with the prefect's wife. Yet here she stood, facing her directly, subject to her reproach and questioning. How dignified and gratifying. Furthermore, Lu Xianyun was the only daughter. Without this opportunity, her prospects might involve a marriage to a lesser son of a concubine, or even a family far beneath the Lu's status. How could anyone compare to Lord Xiao? It was widely known that Ms. Qiao was the sole wife of Lord Xiao, without any concubines. Marrying into such a household would elevate Lu Xianyun's status significantly, especially with support from both the Lu and Mei families. With time, bearing a son and daughter would further enhance her standing. This opportunity was akin to a ticket to greatness. Passing it up would mean foregoing such a lucrative opportunity. Most significantly, Lord Xiao had unequivocally shown favoritism toward Lu Xianyun. His defense of her that night, along with his instructions to escort her home, spoke volumes. Thus, when concubine Yan boldly confronted Xiao Xian, she exuded an air of confidence. Xiao Xian's demeanor turned icy as she addressed First Madame Lu, "And Theseuro?" First Madame Lu observed the scene with a demeanor akin to watching a theatrical performance. She interjected with a smile, "This is concubine Yan, the biological mother of our third daughter. She is inexperienced in such matters and her words may lack finesse. Madame Xiao, I hope you'll forgive her forthrightness." Xiao Xian scoffed. "Is there no one else left in the Lu family? Or does a concubine now hold authority? Do you believe I am so insignificant that even a concubine is permitted to prattle before me? If you recognize the ignorance and rudeness of concubines, why permit her to speak out of turn in my presence?" First Madame Lu was taken aback. Concubine Yan grew flustered. "Oh, Madame Xiao, you Cantillero, how dare you?" Lixia's glare bore into concubine Yan. "Have you no regard for my mistress' words? Does the Lu family hold my wife in such low esteem?" Startled, concubine Yan faltered, turning to First Madame Lu for assistance. First Madame Lu intervened, restraining concubine Yan, and offered a placating smile to Xiao Xian. "Madame Xiao, please accept our apologies. We hold you in the highest regard. Concubine Yan is not always rational and tends to become overly anxious. Please pardon her." Xiao Xian regarded them with a faint smile, remarking, "If I were to take offense and not let her off lightly, it would reflect poorly on my character. Considering her insolence, I could have reprimanded her and castigated the Lu family for her impudence. Moreover, hasn't our Lord already refuted these rumors? What basis does she have for her claims? When has our Lord ever indicated a desire to take her as his concubine? Concubine Yan, did you hear such words directly from our Lord? Or did someone from your family relay this information?" Concubine Yan recoiled, remaining silent. "Speak up." Xiao Xian demanded sharply. "I've posed a question to you, what are you waiting for?" Chapter 1970. Berating concubine Yan's heart raced with panic, her face draining of color as she turned to First Madame Lu for guidance. What should she say now? How could she possibly know how to navigate this situation? First Madame Lu, equally flustered, offered a strained smile. "Madame Xiao, I believe there must have been a misunderstanding on concubine Yan's part. Yes, indeed. These rumors have been circulating outside. Why wouldn't they be? Lord Xiao's actions during the Lantern Festival clearly indicated his protection of our third miss." Concubine Yan interjected hastily, attempting to justify her previous statement. Xiao Xian's anger simmered beneath the surface as she glanced at First Madame Lu. "What a fascinating family dynamic you have. Despite Lord's refutation of the rumors, why would someone within the family entertain such absurd notions? And to think it's the biological mother of third Miss Lu. Like mother, like daughter, indeed. What sort of character does third Miss Lu possess? How could you dare to propose such an alliance to our Lord? Are you attempting to demean his honor?" First Madame Lu and concubine Yan's expressions shifted uneasily. "Madame Xiao, you have misunderstood, that's what the rumors allege. Even if we don't voice it, others will. But it seems that it's too late to halt the spread of gossip now. Has our misreputation been tarnished in vain?" "That's your concern," Xiao Xian retorted icily. "Lord has already dispelled these rumors. If anyone dares to utter falsehoods again, you have every right to take them to court, and Lord will mete out justice impartially. How can you claim her reputation is sullied? All of Anza's inhabitants fall under Lord's jurisdiction, and when he perceives injustice, he intervenes. Even if it hadn't been your daughter that night, Lord would have acted the same. Are you implying that our Lord should be held accountable for every baseless rumor? That's preposterous. What regard does your Lu family have for our Lord? Do you think you have the authority to make decisions on his behalf? Should our Lord bear responsibility for the malicious machinations of those with dark, deceitful, and shameless intentions who fabricate rumors to besmirch his name? But on that day, our Lord has already refuted the rumors, rendering any further discussion irrelevant. Xianxia cut off concubine Yan's attempted defense, unwilling to entertain further fruitless debate. Some individuals were simply beyond reasoning with, and she deemed it more prudent to set a firm example. With a piercing gaze, Xianxia turned her attention to First Madame Lu. First Madame Lu, how do you propose to discipline a servant who disrespects their superior and slanders their master? Caught off guard, First Madame Lu sensed the weight of the question, recognizing it as a potential trap. Nevertheless, she had no choice but to respond. If such a servant were to exist, we would have to expel them from the household. We might administer a punishment such as a beating or selling them away to a distant location. Indeed, we cannot tolerate such insubordination within our ranks. Failure to address it would only lead to chaos within the family. As for concubine Yan, not only did she disregard my authority, but she also propagated false rumors and besmirched our Lord's reputation. While she may hold a higher position than a common servant, she is still a concubine. Shouldn't she face appropriate consequences for her actions? First Madame Lu's eyelids twitched nervously, sensing the gravity of the situation. Concubine Yan's panicked plea fell on deaf ears as Xianxia continued to address First Madame Lu directly. Are you, First Madame Lu, the esteemed mistress of the Lu family? Xiaoxian's tone carried a hint of sarcasm and disdain, causing First Madame Lu's heart to sink. The implications of her response weighed heavily on her, realizing the potential consequences if word of this confrontation were to spread. Chapter 1971. Punishment. Madame Xiao was so persistent that concubine Yan was going to suffer. First Madame Lu took a deep breath and said in a deep voice, Madame Xiao is right, concubine Yan should be punished. She should be slapped 20 times and grounded for a month. Xiaoxian did not say anything. Seeing that, First Madame Lu gritted her teeth and said, 30 slaps and 3 months ground. Xiaoxian said with a smile, you are a concubine after all, so that is fine. Please go ahead. He was going to watch concubine Yan get slapped. First Madame Lu was helpless. Ignoring concubine Yan's protests, she had no choice but to order the maids to slap her. With Xiaoxian staring at her, the maid did not dare to conserve her energy. She was just following orders, and second old master would not blame her for what happened afterwards. But if she saved her energy, Madame Xiao might say something, and she would be the unlucky one. Concubine Yan was very capable and beautiful. Although she was over 30 years old, second old master Lu still liked her. She lived a luxurious life, and her skin, especially the skin on her face, was white and tender. The force of the slaps was like striking tender tofu, yet despite the brutality, concubine Yan's once flawless complexion was now marred by red welts and tears. As her cries echoed through the room, her disheveled appearance and anguished wails drew the attention of countless servants who had been clandestinely observing the scene unfold. First Madame Lu, her skin crawling with discomfort, exchanged anxious glances with Xiaoxian, realizing the potential ramifications of her actions. With a sinking feeling in her gut, she gritted her teeth, knowing that her decision might incur the wrath of her husband, second old master Lu. Regret gnawed at her conscience. If she had foreseen this outcome, she would have prevented Lu Xianyun from leaving and kept her by her side. Despite concubine Yan's tearful pleas, the punishment continued unabated under the watchful eye of Madame Xiao. 30 resounding slaps left her cheeks red and swollen, her once immaculate appearance now disheveled and marred by tears and sweat. Xiaoxian regarded her with a mixture of pity and exasperation. You're just a concubine. Can't you live peacefully? Why invite trouble with your words? Spreading rumors only brings punishment upon yourself. She then turned her attention to the broader consequences of concubine Yan's actions. Consider your daughter. With a mother like you, her prospects as a concubine's daughter will only diminish. Who would want to marry into a family plagued by such scandal? Your irresponsibility condemns her to a life of misery. Concubine Yan stared up at Xianxia in shock, her realization dawning slowly. First Madame Lu, feeling the weight of Xianxia's words, ordered assistance for concubine Yan, cursing her own misfortune at being provoked in such a manner. Xianxia's final words held a mix of reproach and recognition. Punishment for mistakes, reward for contributions. That's how a family should operate. You, First Madam, are indeed decisive and admirable. Upon hearing the compliment, First Madame Lu felt a surge of frustration that threatened to overwhelm her. She clenched her teeth to suppress it. Madame Xiao, your praise is too kind. Xianxia offered a serene smile. No, you truly deserve the title of First Madame Lu. First Madame Lu seethed inwardly. She had been outmaneuvered. It was best to remain silent. First Madame Lu, refrain from harboring any more ill intentions or spreading baseless rumors. Remember, trouble often arises from careless speech. First Madame Lu's heart skipped a beat as she exchanged a glance with Xianxia. With a final smile, Xianxia departed with Wuxia and the others. Chapter 1972. Crying First Madame Lu calmed her racing heart and sought out her old master. Meanwhile, upon returning home, Xianxia found Xiao Yunduan waiting for her. With a smile, Xianxia remarked, "You've heard about it too? No worries, I handled the situation at the Lu family." Xiao Yunduan's expression turned icy. The Mei family must be out of their minds to pull such a stunt. Xianxia led him to sit down, her tone casual. As long as you don't hold it against me, I can manage. It's not much trouble. Xiao Yunduan's demeanor softened, and he grasped her hands, smiling gently. It's not just trouble, it's utterly disgusting. I usually don't bother with these matters, but it's all because of my wife. His words implied that she had full authority to handle such situations as she saw fit in the future. Xianxia smiled in agreement, finally feeling some relief after the ordeal at the Lu family. Concubine Yan was returned to her quarters amid wails and shrieks, startling everyone in the household. Lu Xianyun gazed at her father tearfully. Hadn't Madame Xiao been described as affable? She had managed to reconcile with the Fan family despite their conflicts. Why then had she treated her aunt so harshly? As the wife of the prefect, she was actually calculative with a concubine. She did not care about her face at all. First Madame Lu felt guilty and hurried to explain. Second Old Master Lu felt humiliated, but he did not want to get angry with his sister-in-law, so he said a few words. As soon as First Madame Lu left, he asked concubine Yan's maid with a dark face, "What happened?" The maid trembled uncontrollably and told him everything, including what concubine Yan had said. Lu Xianyun blushed when she heard this, and her heart throbbed inexplicably. When the concubine found out that the Mei family intended to help her marry Lord Xiao as a concubine, she told her a lot about her future prospects in private. Her heart was in a mess, and her heart was in turmoil. Her ambition was aroused. She seemed to think that Lord Xiao had noticed her. Otherwise, he wouldn't have compensated her and asked someone to send her home. She had totally forgotten that Xiao Yunduan, as the lord of the prefect, was suspected to have damaged someone else's things in front of everyone. How could he not compensate her? As for getting Sun Bai to send her home, she was the one who asked for it, and it had nothing to do with Xiao Yunduan. Concubine Yan's mouth was sore and swollen, and she was so angry that she cried out in frustration. "Old Master, it was all Madame Xiao's idea today, and all the servants who came were from the back of the house. I didn't even see a single bailiff. Lord Xiao and Lord Xiao might not even know about this. Our third daughter is so nice, and Lord Xiao is not at a disadvantage. No man would refuse such a beautiful thing. I think Madame Xiao must have done it on her own. Sob, Old Master, even if you don't care about me, you have to stand up for our third daughter. Why don't you ask the Mei family for help? Our third daughter can't be harmed like this." Lu Xianyun also looked at her father eagerly, hoping for his support. Second Old Master Lu was also indignant. He stomped his feet and went to the Mei family again to seek assistance. First, Mrs. Mei cut to the chase when she met with Xiao Xian directly. The Mei family did not have a girl of the right age, and the third daughter of the Lu family was a mature and polite woman. The Mei family had no evil intention, they simply wished to present her as a gift to Lord Xiao. Chapter 1973. Deal with this arrangement. The Mei family pledged their unwavering support to Lord Xiao. Regardless of his actions, they would stand by him. Essentially, it was a transaction. In this exchange, the Mei family sought a powerful ally. With their backing, Lord Xiao would undoubtedly gain advantages. It was a mutually beneficial arrangement. Of course, Lu Xianyun was the daughter of a concubine. Given that Madame Xiao had already borne Lord Xiao's eldest son, and Lord Xiao was not one to favor concubines over his wife, there was no need for concern. If Madame Xiao felt that Lu Xianyun had erred, she could reprimand her. She even proposed to Lord Xiao that if he did not accept Lu Xianyun, they could find another suitable candidate. First, Mrs. Mei's words seemed forthright and sincere, as though she was merely discussing matters of wealth and influence. But Xiao Xian found the whole conversation repugnant. Then, without hesitation, she turned down the offer. Though she valued her reputation greatly, being the wife of an official demanded it, she couldn't help but feel a pang of jealousy when first Mrs. Mei proposed the alliance. Because only a jealous woman would reject such an advantageous offer, one that could benefit her husband without posing any harm. Only a woman consumed by jealousy. Xiao Xian seethed at the thought of how the Mei family was attempting to manipulate her into jealousy. She was not about to give first Mrs. Mei any satisfaction. If I say no, then it's no. My husband has no need for such connections. Spare your efforts and don't approach him. Even if he were to consider it, I would never agree. And if I don't agree, no woman will enter the Xiao family. Do you understand? Nevertheless, my husband genuinely desires to govern An's province in harmony with its inhabitants. Any family, so long as they conduct themselves properly, adhere to the law, and refrain from underhanded activities, need not fear him. He will support them wholeheartedly. You can rest assured. First, Mrs. Mei's attempts at persuasion fell flat. Old Master Mei took matters into his own hands and approached Xiao Yunduan directly, but the outcome was no different. Upon returning to the East Yard, Xiao Yunduan relayed to Xiao Xian, Deputy Prefect Jia hinted that there might be something off about the Mei family. Xiao Xian was taken aback. What do you mean? Xiao Yunduan sighed with a bitter smile. I'm not sure either, and Deputy Prefect Jia couldn't quite put his finger on it either. But there's definitely something peculiar going on. Otherwise, the Mei family wouldn't be acting this way. It's out of character for them. He sensed that something was awry. Jia Hemming's reminder had sparked a realization within him, but the exact nature of the situation remained elusive. Unable to decipher the mystery, Xiao Xian smiled and said, "We needn't dwell on it. Whatever their intentions are, they'll reveal themselves in due time." Xiao Yunduan nodded, gently grasping her shoulders. "I've already instructed Zheng Sang to discreetly investigate. Just to be safe, you should avoid going out these days. And if you must, ensure you're accompanied by additional guards." Xiao Xian chuckled. "They'll be cautious, don't worry. The trauma from her abduction by the fourth prince's men would linger for a lifetime." Xiao Xian empathized with him deeply. Chapter 1974. Returning to hometown following that incident, the Mei family ceased their persistent efforts. No longer were they bothered by unwanted visitors. As for the Lu family, stripped of the Mei family's backing, they no longer posed a threat. Several days later, during a gathering of young ladies from affluent families in An's province, third Miss Lu had a near-fatal accident when she fell into the water. Miraculously rescued, she suffered severe shock and hypothermia, requiring extended bed rest for recovery. The uncertainty surrounding her recuperation cast a shadow over her future. Xiao Xian couldn't help but feel relieved that she hadn't attended the gathering herself, as her absence would have raised suspicions. In late January, a letter arrived from Shaoding village. Tao Tao and Zhao Shu's wedding date had been set for the 8th of March. Zhao Shu remained occupied with business matters in Jiangnan. After finalizing arrangements for the year, he would journey to Yuzhong, accompanied by relatives and elders from within a 500-meter radius of Heshan County. Upon arrival, they would celebrate with a grand wedding for Zhao Shu and Tao Dao. With Zhao Shu's willingness to spare no expense, a sizable contingent of relatives was expected to attend, eager to partake in the festivities. Thanks to his generosity, accommodations and provisions for the journey would be arranged without hesitation. Who wouldn't seize the opportunity to join such a joyous occasion? Especially his cousins and uncles were eager to participate in the festivities. Xiao Xian and Xiao Yunduan shared in their joy for the couple. With the wedding plans settled, anticipation filled the air. As Xiao Yunduan was restricted to official duties, Xiao Xian planned to return around the 12th of February, accompanied by Anan. Choosing a later departure date would ensure warmer weather and allow Anan to grow a little, providing Xiao Xian with greater peace of mind. Although Xiao Xian felt she could depart immediately if not for Anan's welfare, she understood the importance of waiting. Each day brought changes in the child's development, making him more resilient with time. Preparations commenced as they packed their belongings and gathered gifts for the occasion. The entourage accompanying them also finalized their list of attendees. Li Xia and the others naturally joined, while Sun Qian was entrusted with leading 26 subordinates to provide security. On February 11th, Xiao Xian and their party embarked on their journey. Departing from An's prefecture city at dawn, they maintained a low profile, attracting little attention. Unbeknownst to many, Xiao Xian was en route to her hometown. That was Xiao Yunduan's intention as well. He would feel more assured if their journey remained discreet. Furthermore, while Xiao Xian eagerly anticipated returning home, she also worried about Xiao Yunduan. In recent days, she had nagged at him incessantly. At night, she was different, her passion fiery yet gentle to the core. She seemed to want to envelop him completely. And he was more than willing to comply. However, amidst his happiness, a pang of heartache tugged at him. He couldn't help but wonder how many promises her tender words concealed. Yet having her by his side was enough. He couldn't bear to see her sad. Keeping a low profile was imperative. It was best if no one knew they had left An's prefecture city. 5 days later, they arrived in Yuzhong province. As the wagon passed through the gates, Xiao Xian lifted the curtain, gazing outside. The sights grew increasingly familiar, filling her with happiness. Finally, they were home. Given the size of the Yuezheng family, Xiao Xian headed directly there upon arrival. Chapter 1975. Arriving at Yuzhong, Xiao Xian also penned a letter to First Madam while on the journey home. First Madam anticipated her arrival in a couple of days, eagerly awaiting her return. Therefore, as soon as they arrived at the gates of the Yuezheng family, the gatekeeper recognized Xiao Xian and hurried in to report the news. A few moments later, First Madam emerged, accompanied by her eldest daughter-in-law and the housekeeper's wife. Xiao Xian stepped out of the carriage and saw First Madam, her heart warmed by the sight, and a bright smile lit up her face. "Hey, elder aunt. Ah Xian. You're truly back." That's right. It's been a rushed journey. I've missed you all." Xiao Xian hastened forward and linked arms with First Madam. Everyone exchanged smiles and greetings. Li Zheng expressed some words of concern for Xiao Xian, his gaze softening upon seeing the baby in the nanny's arms. "So this is Anan? Indeed, she carries the features of both you and Lord Xiao. She's quite handsome and utterly charming." Like any mother, Xiao Xian beamed with joy hearing her son praised, even more so than herself. With a smile, she responded, "Babies are so pure and delicate in their youth, with eyes so dark and bright. Indeed, she's quite lovable." She scooped Anan into her arms and greeted First Madam with a wave of her hand. Anan showed no fear of strangers. Babbling as he looked at First Madam, his beautiful black eyes reflected both joy and confusion. First Madam adored him instantly. She pinched his little cheeks and playfully teased him with her delicate hands. When she tried to reach for him, Anan responded eagerly, reaching out with open arms, eliciting laughter from everyone. With a smile, First Madam took him into her arms and led the way into the courtyard with Xiao Xian and the others. Since Xiao Xian and the others returned unexpectedly, First Madam hadn't prepared a formal banquet. They were family, so there was no need for such formality. Instead, she instructed the kitchen to prepare a few extra dishes that Xianxia liked for dinner and arranged for someone to prepare some minced meat porridge for Anan. After a while, Xianxia and First Madam found themselves engaged in conversation in the parlor. First Madam's eldest daughter-in-law attended to the household tasks and made arrangements for Xiaoxian's entourage. Lixia and the others, weary from the journey, retired to rest. Since Xiaoxian was with First Madam, they were excused from serving her directly. Anan, on the other hand, may have been sleeping during the journey, but now, in this new environment, everything fascinated him. He was so enthralled that sleep eluded him entirely. The nanny and others found it difficult to rest as well, so they brought him to play on the small bed behind the jade cabinet. First Madam's welcoming gift for Anan was a gold longevity lock adorned with gemstones. It featured various auspicious motifs symbolizing wealth and longevity, and its design was exquisite. The bright yellow jade was set with rubies, sapphires, emeralds, and jades, creating a sparkling and colorful luxury that children adored. Anan held onto it tightly, playing with it happily. With Anan occupied in First Madam's room, Xiaoxian felt at ease. She couldn't help but share every detail of their reunion with First Madam. And even now, Xiao Yunduan continued to keep his promise, wholeheartedly treating Xiaoxian with care. First Madam was genuinely happy for her. Chapter 1976, Small Gathering. First Madam agreed that Xiaoxian was lucky to have Lord Xiao by her side. He was indeed a good man. As for the uncertainties of the future, First Madam acknowledged that no one could predict with certainty. She hoped Xiaoxian would always be fine, but she couldn't ignore the potential flaws in men's character. There were too many variables to consider. Although Xiao Yunduan was currently only a prefect, who knew what the future held? What if he ascended to a higher position in the government? However, whenever Xiaoxian spoke about Xiao Yunduan, her demeanor softened, and First Madam couldn't bring herself to dampen her spirits. Instead, she chose to praise Xiaoxian's good fortune. With Anan, the firstborn son of the primary wife, and a substantial estate with vast wealth, Xiaoxian was indeed blessed. A woman had her son to support her and her wealth to sustain her. As for her husband, if he proved reliable, she would stand by him. If not, she would be prepared to part ways. In case of any adversity in the future, Xiaoxian could draw strength from the wisdom shared during their conversation today. Xiaoxian didn't fully grasp First Madam's implications, but she listened attentively. Thoughts of Anan filled her with joy. Taking advantage of the discussion about Tao Tao's family, Xiaoxian seized the moment to seek advice from First Madam. Tao Tao was marrying into the affluent Zhao family from Jiangnan, a milieu Xiaoxian had never encountered before. She felt unequipped to handle the intricacies of such a prominent family, let alone navigate the dynamics with her mother-in-law, Miss Fong, and her two sisters-in-law. This was precisely why she had returned home earlier than planned. There were numerous decisions awaiting her attention regarding household arrangements and preparations. Moreover, with many guests expected from the Zhao family, the Xiao family couldn't afford to be negligent. They had to ensure Tao Tao's standing was impeccable, preventing anyone in the Zhao family from looking down on her. Despite Xiao Yunduan holding the position of prefect in An's province, the Xiao family lacked the same social standing and wealth as the Zhao family. Xiao Yunduan's authority didn't carry the same weight in the south as it did in the remote An's province, making it difficult to assert influence over the Zhao family. Thus, it was imperative for the Zhao family to witness the Xiao family's strength firsthand to earn their respect. First Madam had been deeply involved in wedding preparations, so she was well versed in every detail of the ceremony. Xiaoxian eagerly shared all she knew with her. Their conversation flowed joyously, and even as dinner was served, they found themselves reluctant to end their discussion. Noticing that most of the 12 sumptuous dishes laid out before her were her favorites, Xiaoxian couldn't help but feel touched. With a grateful smile, she looked up at First Madam and playfully remarked, "Elder Aunt, you spoil me so much. You remembered all my favorites." First Madam chuckled heartily. "I have a good memory, you know. You're still young. How can you be considered old?" Their laughter filled the air as they savored their meal together. First Madam showed great concern for Xianxia's well-being, especially considering her exhausting journey. As night fell, Anan became restless, demanding his mother's attention. Recognizing Xianxia's fatigue, First Madam arranged for her to retire to bed. Before bidding her goodnight, First Madam reassured Xianxia, urging her not to fret about the affairs of the province and to feel at ease. She promised that even if Xianxia needed anything in the middle of the night or if Anan grew hungry, the servants would be at her beck and call. She had even instructed the kitchen to prepare pigeon porridge in a casserole on the small stove, a comforting thought for Xianxia. Grateful for First Madam's thoughtfulness, Xianxia nodded with a warm smile, feeling deeply touched by her kindness. Chapter 1977. Returning to Xiaoding village the following day, Xianxia and her companions prepared to depart. First Madam entrusted Auntie Hua, her trusted confidant, to accompany Xianxia and offer assistance. Auntie Hua was a pillar of strength, possessing a wealth of experience and a calm, meticulous demeanor. With her by Xiaoxian's side, everything would proceed smoothly. As Tao Tao's wedding approached, guests from the Yuezheng family would soon arrive to extend their congratulations. First Madam informed Xiaoxian that she intended to join them a few days in advance. Expressing her gratitude, Xiaoxian smiled and thanked First Madam sincerely. Taking Xiaoxian's hands in hers, First Madam returned the smile and spoke warmly, "No need for such formality with me. It's because of your understanding that I feel comfortable offering my help. I'm just glad you don't see me as meddling." Indeed, few would welcome interference in such significant matters as marriage. It was a testament to the trust and camaraderie between them that First Madam felt comfortable lending Auntie Hua's assistance. Understanding First Madam's sentiment, Xiaoxian reassured her with a smile, "You're not an outsider to me, and I appreciate your support. My mother-in-law will undoubtedly be grateful to you, just as I am." First Madam nodded with a smile, then scooped Anan into her arms, gently pinching his cheeks and playing with him. She watched as mother and daughter climbed into the carriage, surrounded by the bustling crowd. After a day of travel, they finally arrived back in Xiaoding village by evening. Miss Fang had been eagerly anticipating their return every day, and her joy knew no bounds now that her dreams had come true. Tao Tao couldn't contain her excitement as she enveloped Xiaoxian in a tight embrace, laughing joyfully. Ms. Fang greeted Xiaoxian warmly, her eyes brimming with happiness as she inquired about Xiao Yunduan. Anan's presence only added to her delight, and she couldn't help but smile. Xiao Delong, Ms. Su, Xiao Sanlang, Yang Xiaoni, and the others all shared in the jubilation. They surrounded Xiaoxian, exchanging greetings and well wishes. Even Chunyu and the seasoned servants couldn't contain their happiness. Word had spread throughout the village that Xiaoxian had returned with her children. The sight of several carriages and a retinue of dozens of servants made quite the impression. It was a testament to the prosperity of their family. Indeed, as Xiao Lulang had suggested, An's province seemed to be a land of opportunity. If it were not so, Lord Xiao wouldn't have attained such wealth, and Madame Xiao's return wouldn't have been so grandiose. Suddenly, the first section of the Xiao family's courtyard was bustling with activity as many people gathered there. The yard became alive with chatter and laughter, everyone smiling and greeting Xiaoxian warmly. Anan garnered particular attention, with everyone marveling at his adorable appearance and apparent intelligence. He was truly the pride of the Xiao family. After a while, Ms. Fang and her daughter-in-law, seeing that Xiaoxian and her grandson were tired from the journey, suggested that they retire to rest. They bid farewell, promising to return the next morning, and one by one, the guests departed. With the courtyard gate closed, tranquility finally returned to the house. The servants who had accompanied them were duly settled, and preparations for dinner were underway. A table was set in the main room, awaiting their arrival. Ms. Su and Yang Xiaoni, along with the household staff, were busy in the kitchen. They prepared a feast fit for the occasion, including stewed chicken with mushrooms, braised duck, and steamed mandarin fish fresh from the backyard pond. Additionally, they prepared steamed sausages, stir-fried radishes and garlic shoots, scrambled eggs with scallions, sautéed wolfberry shoots, and stir-fried lettuce with garlic, filling the air with the aroma of garlic and fresh vegetables. Chapter 1978. Home life. Although they were all simple home-cooked dishes, their aroma filled the room, evoking a sense of warmth and closeness. Seeing the eager expression on Xianxia's face, Miss Fong couldn't help but smile. You must be exhausted from the journey. Dig into. These dishes are just like the ones you used to enjoy at home. Xianxia nodded enthusiastically. Absolutely. I've been craving home-cooked meals for so long. Ms. Fong chuckled. There's nothing like home-cooked food, isn't it? I'll have your sister-in-law cook for you every day. Yang Xiaoni, entering with the last dish, chimed in. Mother, fifth sister-in-law's cooking is truly exceptional. I've even asked her to cook for me. I'm just here to assist and enjoy the food. Just the thought of it makes my mouth water. Ms. Fong scolded Yang Xiaoni jokingly. Stop your chatter. Your fifth sister-in-law is the lady of the house. She shouldn't be cooking for you. We have plenty of servants here, and you can't even order them around. Stop with this nonsense. Yang Xiaoni smiled sheepishly. Oops, my mistake. Fifth sister-in-law, I apologize. Please don't be mad at me. I really didn't mean anything by it. Truly. Xiao Xian chuckled. No need to worry, third sister-in-law. We're family after all. Then she turned to Ms. Fong with a warm smile. Mom, there's no need to be so formal with me. Cooking at home is a pleasure. I'd love to prepare a meal for you. Don't overexert yourself, dear. We're family, no need for formalities. Let's sit down and eat before the food gets cold. With everyone's agreement, they gathered around the table for dinner. The atmosphere was relaxed and familial, filled with lively conversation and familial warmth. It was a true homecoming experience. After dinner, Anan sought comfort in Xiao Xian's arms again, prompting Ms. Fong to express concern. She arranged for hot water for Xiao Xian and her son to wash up and encouraged them to rest for the night. The yard where Xiao Xian and Xiao Yinduan used to reside remained intact. It was secured when they were away, and it received monthly cleaning and maintenance. Anticipating Xiao Xian and her son's return, Ms. Fong instructed Yang Xiaoni and Tao Tao to tidy up daily, ensuring the windows were open for ventilation and dust was wiped away. Pots of lively flowers adorned the yard, giving it a vibrant ambience despite their absence. Entering the yard with Anan, the nanny, Li Xia, and Li Qiu, Xiao Xian found everything orderly, evoking a comforting warmth within her heart. Home was home because of this irreplaceable sense of belonging. The night passed sweetly and peacefully. The next morning, after Xiao Xian refreshed herself and exchanged greetings with Ms. Fong and the others, she led Anan, Li Xia, Li Qiu, and Tao Tao to the backyard to harvest fruits. The air was crisp, carrying a hint of morning chill, while the garden exuded life and freshness. The sight of lush greenery brought joy to their hearts. The fruit trees had noticeably flourished, their thick and tall trunks adorned with luxuriant branches and leaves. Chapter 1979. Warmth. At this time of year, peach blossoms and pear blossoms were on the verge of blooming. Some branches basked in the sunlight, showcasing their beautiful and delicate buds. Others had already sprouted, standing out amidst the evergreen fruit trees. The garden was adorned with various fruits. Peaches and oranges still hung from some trees, their soft white skin blushing pink as they ripened, emitting a sweet fragrance that filled the air. The plump, tangerine-like oranges were particularly eye-catching. Xiao Xian plucked one and handed it to Anan, who eagerly accepted it with both hands and began nibbling, her adorable frown eliciting laughter from everyone. Amidst the bounty were dragon fruits, papayas, and pineapple honey, all ripe and ready for harvest. Xiao Xian filled her basket with the abundant produce. Tao Tao smiled, remarking on the garden's abundance. We have so many fruits that we can't possibly finish them all in a year. We also have dates, crisp persimmons, grapefruits, mangoes, lemons, and pineapple honey in the cellar. Additionally, there are chestnuts, walnuts, peaches, apricots, bayberries, and persimmon cakes, all homemade. I'll give some to fifth sister-in-law later. Xiao Xian nodded with a smile. Our garden truly is a treasure trove. She made a mental note to acquire some fruit saplings from Liuhe Manor upon her return. When she got back, she planned to add a variety of fruit trees to her garden. Although she wasn't sure how long her husband would remain in An's province, It seemed likely he wouldn't depart for the next 3 to 4 years. Besides, Anne's province was close to Yuzhong, so even if her husband wasn't there, it wouldn't pose a problem. There was no harm in expanding their property holdings. For breakfast that morning, they had steamed buns and porridge. The buns were small but packed with various fillings: dried plum vegetables, cured meat, radish pork, cabbage vermicelli with mutton, mushrooms, celery, pork, chives, eggs, shrimp, and winter bamboo shoots. Fortunately, with many servants at home, they were able to prepare the meal early in the morning. Anan didn't have teeth yet, so Xianxia added some chopped spinach into the fish porridge. With a smile, Ms. Fong said to Xianxia, "I've prepared a bit of everything and they're not large. Try them all." Xianxia's face lit up. "Mom, I'll taste them all. I might need to go for round 3. Ms. Fong chuckled at Xiaoxian's appetite. "I didn't plan much, just thought we have so many vegetables from our garden and plenty of meat at home, so why not make more fillings? I'll keep them warm and steam one for you whenever you're ready." Xiaoxian felt touched by her mother-in-law's thoughtfulness and nodded appreciatively. In truth, which family would prepare such a variety of fillings? 2 or 3 options were already considered generous. It wasn't like they were making them for sale at a shop. Ms. Fong had gone to the trouble of preparing so many dishes just for their enjoyment. After breakfast, Ms. Fong, along with Xiaoxian and Anan, bearing gifts, went to visit the patriarch, the land officer, and several elders. Their family was here, and it was necessary to build a good relationship with the villagers. Ms. Fong and the others were still living in the village, and the second section of the family and the third section of the family were in a mess, so they might get into trouble from time to time. At this juncture, the villagers' attitudes held significant weight. Their disposition hinged upon the patriarch, the land officer, and the elders. These figures held authority, and no one dared to voice dissent against their judgments. For Xiao Yunduan to navigate his career smoothly, he needed to uphold a sterling reputation. Any dissent from the second and third sections of the family had to be quashed within the village. Chapter 1980. Visit. It took them 2 days to complete their visits and conversations. Xiaoxian's demeanor was gentle, devoid of the airs typically associated with an official's wife. However, perhaps due to her years in such a position and her altered attire from home, she exuded a dignified and reserved aura, commanding respect and dissuading any rudeness. The second branch of the Xiao family could be treated more casually, merely requiring a gift to be sent without the need for a personal visit. Conversely, the third branch was a closer relation, demanding a formal visit. Accompanied by Ms. Fong, Xiaoxian paid her respects to both branches. Taking care to leave Anan behind, Xiaoxian relieved her host's concerns upon seeing they hadn't brought the child along. The hosts, Ms. Ma and third uncle, breathed a sigh of relief at the absence of Anan. Not having to entertain the child was a relief, both in terms of appearances and the need to present a gift in greeting, which they could now conveniently omit under the pretense of forgetfulness. As the date of Zhao Shu and Tao Tao's marriage drew nearer, tensions between the third branch and the first section of the family escalated. However, Xiao Lilang's repeated warnings against causing further trouble with the first section kept them in check. Reluctantly, they extended an invitation to Ms. Fong and Xiaoxian to join them in their room. Enduring the humiliation for the sake of their son's future, the 2 women accepted the invitation. Upon seeing Xiaoxian, Ms. Ma couldn't help but feel a pang of jealousy. She remarked, "Niece-in-law, you're looking quite refined these days. Much improved from before. Seems like without your in-laws to hold you back, you're living quite comfortably." Xiaoxian was left speechless. Ms. Fong, both irritated and amused, noted that some people never changed their habit of speaking ill of others. In the past, Ms. Fong might have erupted into a confrontation, but now she chose to remain composed. Despite Ms. Ma's remarks, Xiaoxian remained unruffled. Her heart remained untouched by any ripple. After all, she no longer saw herself on the same level as Ms. Ma. Her family's prosperity and smooth sailing made her uninterested in engaging in any competition. She had no desire to change Ms. Ma's bad habits. "There's no need to worry about that," Xiaoxian replied calmly. "Every mother-in-law cares about their daughter-in-law. I've been through a lot, so it's only natural that I've changed. Besides, I've been managing things with Mr. Qiao and Wulang in An's province. I've guided them on what to say in their letters. And now that I've given birth to a son, of course, I'm not the same as before. I'm feeling much better. Xiao Xian nearly burst into laughter, nodding in exaggerated agreement. Absolutely. Ever since Anan was born, I've been so happy. Plus, my husband's career is thriving, and Tao Tao has found such a good family. My parents and siblings are all in good health. Happiness looks good on me. Ms. Fong burst into laughter. Absolutely. Xiao Xian smiled again. Honestly, I sometimes wish my mother would control me. She has a lot of wisdom to offer, and am grateful for her guidance. So, I don't feel uncomfortable at all. What third aunt-in-law said doesn't make any sense. Ms. Fong nodded approvingly. I know you're sensible, not someone who indulges in baseless gossip. Ms. Ma, who was spouting nonsense, fell silent. Chapter 1981. You can brag when that happened. Ms. Ma smiled coldly. She was not satisfied and couldn't help but boast. By the way, our Lu Lang is on track to become a high-ranking official. He's likely to pass the intermediate exam this year. Serving as an official in the capital is far superior to staying local. Ms. Ma wanted to tout her son's potential to become the primus, but Xiao Lulang had cautioned them multiple times against such presumptuousness, so Ms. Ma had to restrain herself. Ms. Fong smiled indulgently. You can boast once you've hit the mark. Ms. Ma grew annoyed. You, all right. Ms. Fong rose from her seat and signaled to Xiao Xian that it was time to leave. I'm afraid Anan will wake up soon, so we should head home as well. And don't forget to come help us during the wedding. She couldn't bear to witness Ms. Ma's conceited behavior. Xiao Lulang was merely going to the capital for an exam. Those unfamiliar with the situation might think he had already passed the intermediate and was on the verge of becoming an official. Each year, countless scholars journeyed to the capital. Xiao Yunduan's upcoming venture there filled them all with trepidation. He lacked Ms. Ma's and her husband's confidence in such matters. Hearing their boastfulness, he feared they might face embarrassment. Ms. Ma snorted dismissively. We'll see about that. Then she turned to Xiao Xian and asked, Have you made up your mind, sister-in-law? The Zhao family is wealthy and has strict customs, unlike us, a humble countryside family. Any misstep during the wedding could bring ridicule and scorn upon Tao Tao. You needn't worry. I might not understand everything, but Ms. Qiao does. The first madam of the Lejing family has sent her trusted housekeeper to accompany Ms. Qiao, so she can provide assistance. Ms. Ma's eyes widened in surprise, then she scoffed. Ms. Qiao is young. What could she possibly know about such matters? The Yuezheng family isn't even here. How can we entrust Tao Tao's wedding to a mere servant? Xiao Xian couldn't contain her frustration any longer. Third aunt-in-law, you're mistaken. Auntie Hua, who serves elder aunt, is her right-hand woman and is incredibly knowledgeable. She's no ordinary servant. Her family owns hundreds of acres of land. With her guidance, Tao Tao's marriage will be secure. And if anyone dares to interfere behind her back, I won't stand for it. Ms. Fong grew irritated by Ms. Ma's remarks and retorted sharply, Auntie Hua is merely offering her assistance. What's wrong with that? Do you think I can't trust the housekeeper appointed by the first madam of the Yuezheng family and instead rely on a landowner's wife? Tao Tao's affairs won't be meddled with by an outsider. Ms. Ma could only watch them leave and spat after a while, muttering, ungrateful wretches. Ms. Fong also vented her frustrations to Xiao Xian. In a neighboring village, there was a local squire whose son had attempted the cultivated talent examination multiple times without success. The squire hoped to gain favor with the first section of the family, wishing for Xiao Yunduan to intercede with the Lord to help his son advance to the intermediate examination. When the squire's family approached them, Ms. Fong promptly declined the offer and distanced herself from them, despite their persistent attempts. Fortunately, eldest uncle was discerning and made no commitments. But the squire's family persisted. With Tao Tao's impending marriage to Zhao Shu, they assumed the Xiao family was unaware of their connections and sought to enlist Ms. Ma's aid, offering her inducements to act as a middle person.